Welcome back. We'll resume our evening meeting. I know we have some additional public comment, and so appreciate Tony and Henry helping to ensure we have those who have raised their hands previously will be able to speak. Just one note, I think there's been from some of the public comments some suggestion that this is a mandate that people must get vaccinated. I want to clarify. What the council is considering this evening is a requirement to show proof of vaccination to enter large city-owned facilities where hundreds or thousands of people are congregated in an indoor facility, which is obviously poses a significant risk of infection. That is the extent of the requirement that the council is considering tonight. There is no vaccination mandate on anyone. Okay, so on to public comment.
Should I call roll to make sure we have a quorum?
Okay, sure, why not? Thanks, Tony.
Jimenez?
Present.
Perales?
Here.
Cohen?
Here.
Carrasco? Davis?
Here.
Esparza?
Here.
Arenas?
Here.
Foley?
Here.
Mahan?
Here.
Jones?
Present.
Licardo?
Present.
Okay, our first public speaker is David Menchaca.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you, council members, for hearing me tonight. I just want to say that I adamantly oppose this vaccine mandate passport, especially for large events. From experience, just this past weekend, I had a friend, San Francisco's doing this, and my friend had been vaccinated. She had contracted COVID, and because she was able to provide her vaccine passport in San Francisco, she was able to go to an event. And because of that, it became a super spreader event. And I don't believe that they work, and I don't believe it's efficient. So for those reasons, I oppose this, and I think you should too. Thank you.
Michelle? Michelle? Matthew Topping? Matthew?
Yes, I'm hearing her. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
So I'm a 15-year veteran with the San Jose Fire Department. I've been on the front lines as a first responder in this since this pandemic has started. I'm here to strongly oppose the forced mandate to get vaccinated. Mayor Licardo, you said this isn't a mandate for the general, but it isn't a mandate for city employees. I've taken care of myself. Now I'm being forced to choose between my career and an experimental vaccine that could have detrimental effects to myself. Thank you.
Joy? Joy?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Fact, vaccinated people still catch the virus and spread it around. Second, more minorities don't take the vaccine. Vaccine passport discriminate minority. Third, new vaccine can cause heart damages, blood clotting, and other serious injury. Long-term damage are not known yet. Forcing healthy people to take high-risk vaccine is a serious crime. It was what the Nazis did. We will recall you all if any of you vote.
Concerned mother? Concerned mother?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm strongly oppose this mandate because it goes against our freedom. I believe that as your constituents, we order you because you work for us. We order you to not do this, to vote with us, to be opposed against this cruel and unfair and unjust system that this world is being under right now. Thank you.
Mike Olson? Mike Olson?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I understand having some medical condition should exempt said persons from getting a vax. Forcing the vax on members of the public so they can go to work or go out to a restaurant for dinner will lock said person in their home. How are you going to handle the unemployable if and when mandate is ordered? I feel that this is a heinous abuse of people's inalienable rights as well as U.S. constitutional California law forcing vax on, especially since it is not tested. Not to mention the reported 2,500, but more likely 4,000 or more deaths that are recorded by the VARS database of people that.
Teresa Espinoza.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hi. Thank you, City Council. I just wanted to say thanks for hearing us. I'm a San Jose resident, and I'm pro freedom for vaccine choice. And I just wanted to let you guys know if you're thinking that this mandate is going to encourage the vaccine hesitancy citizens, it's not going to do that. It's not the right approach. And if I'm not able to buy groceries for my son, are you?
Clara. Clara.
Hello, it's me. Good evening.
Go ahead.
I represent We the People. Don't want the vaccine mandates. We don't want vaccine passports, and we don't want to wear masks. Damn it, we're pro-freedom. Recall Newsom now. When tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes biblical. This is a spiritual battle. Please vote no. I implore you. God bless.
Kay.
Say my dad, no on mandates. Say my dad's a job. No on mandates and no on passports. Keep our future free. Save the next generation. Show us what it means to be a leader.
Is this the beginning of what I have learned about Nazi Germany? I object this mandate, please.
So you should just listen to us. So just be respectful if we don't want to put this in our body.
Caller 9288. Caller 9288, please press *6 to unmute. Daniel.
As a vaccinator myself, I object to the vaccine passports. I'm a longtime resident of San Jose of 35 years. Not being able to enter local business or attend a Sharks game to support my local economy to help it thrive when I'm healthy and willing to wear a mask unless I have an injection is absolutely ridiculous. I want my friends to participate in public events too. This would cause less freedoms and additional segregation. Let the vaccinated stay safe in the vaccine with the vaccine and boosters. Let others take that risk that they don't if they don't want it. Coercion and mandates are incompatible with freedom and a free country.
Alma.
Yes, I'm here. I am a teacher. I used to be a public school teacher, now at a private school. It doesn't matter either way. I might have to quit my job, and many other people who are in the service industry are going to have to make the decision of taking the jab or continuing to do the job that they love and that they want to keep. So please vote no and give people the freedom to choose where and what they want to do. Thank you.
Caller 8904. You're unmuted.
Hi. Last week on 3.4, there was a slide that was put up about data regarding vaccination rates in Santa Clara County. And I think that the data was from the county, and it indicated that 99% of Asians in Santa Clara County had been vaccinated. And even the council didn't believe that data. But yet now you are turning around and doubling down 1 week later and starting to create requirements to show vaccination when your own data is flawed. Seek to understand.
Tanya?
I highly oppose this vaccine mandate. Even per the FDA, this does not prevent COVID. The one that was released, the adverse effects are still not even known. So much so that this means that there is a known risk, high risk, especially for people under 40. That is why Pfizer still has to provide clinical data up until next year. FDA knows that there is a problem that still exists now, and it is not a lawful.
Angela Perez Gonzalez. Angela? Karen Ying.
Letting me speak again. So New York City have done this already. A person needs to provide a vaccine app or a vaccine paper plus an ID. I thought providing extra ID and extra papers are discriminatory, and that's why you guys don't want voter ID. So all of a sudden requiring this is not discriminatory.
Okay, I cut off Karen. She spoke earlier. If you spoke earlier, you only get to speak once. Tanya?
Do you hear me, please?
Yes.
Okay, finally, thank you. So please vote no on this vaccine and passport mandates. I'm strongly against this, as they are criminal, unconstitutional, against the God's will. I came from a communist country 30 years ago and never had there such a horrible mandate. San José City Council, be loyal to your San Jose people and not to pharma. Will
Jeff?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I just wanted to say San Jose set the bar by going against the rest of California and did pension reform before the state did. You guys set a precedent as a city who thinks for themselves. So keep it up and stand against vaccine mandates and passports. I have 3 kids and I want them to be able to grow up and make a decision for themselves. And so let's go with my body, my choice. Thank you very much.
Jennifer Woodward?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I appreciate you all for everything you do for San Jose. So far, everyone has made it very clear just how much this infringes on our rights, and to force people to put something into their body, especially something that can kill you just to go to the grocery store, is insane. But have you thought about how this could affect small businesses in downtown San Jose? Don't we want to be getting more people in these businesses, especially after they've been destroyed by shutdowns? Let each individual business decide to turn business away. You should get to decide that for them. Thank you so much.
Kimberly?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I'm a native to San Jose. I'm almost 60 years old, and I was quite discouraged at the way the city is being run, first of all. Second of all, I'm really proud of my fellow San Jose Californians stepping up to vote no against this mandate. I know Licardo said that is only for city-run businesses. I am a longtime CPA supporter, season ticket holder, and it will definitely affect me. Vote no.
Elaine?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Dear San Jose City Council, please go to Amazon.com and check out the Klaus Schwab's book, COVID-19, The World Reset, and understand that this imposed vaccine is the major tool for their purpose, which is depopulation, significant depopulation, and total control on the surviving. Please be able to connect the dots and understand what's happening in the world.
Ricardo?
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Legitimacy of government is derived from the consent of the people. I don't know if you've been listening, but besides the whiny Karen who's essentially afraid of her own shadow, every single person here is against this tyrannical action, and we oppose it with every fiber of our being. To the town council specifically, you did a lot of virtue signaling on the start of this call. Have you thought about the fact that this imposition would disproportionately affect those same poor and minority communities that you claim to represent and claim to want to protect? You're a bunch of virtue signaling cucks.
M.
Hello, this is M. Hi, yeah, I strongly oppose the vaccine mandate. This vaccine is illegal and unconstitutional. It's a crime against humanity. You use it only a few numbers to mandate it to everyone. If you mandate it, you will be held personally responsible for the blood of innocent. The blood will be on your hand. If you think it helps you, you only push more people to recall Newsom. Please vote no, so you shall stand on the day of trial and judgment. Well, thank you so much.
Jenny McCarroll?
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hi there. I strongly oppose this vaccine mandate. I'm a California credential teacher, and I'm pretty scared about what the future holds for me. I understand this current vaccine mandate that you're considering is for big venues, but that's only the start. So please consider voting no. We're doing this for our kids, we're doing this for our family, and of course, our freedoms in our country. Thank you.
Monica Rose?
My cultural and spiritual way of life embraces a natural, holistic, vegan approach to wellness that these vaccines are not. A vaccine mandate is a discriminatory overreach of government and a violation of personal freedoms, including sovereignty over our bodies. It's everyone's divine right to choose what goes in their body. A vaccine, by definition, mimics what the body already naturally does. Anyone in fear can already opt in, so I ask that you respect and protect our God-given right to choose and vote no on this mandate. My body, my choice.
Moose?
Hey, good evening. I just want to say the fact that we're even having this debate is absolutely laughable. We've had our own mayor tell people not to celebrate Thanksgiving and holidays and go against his own word. We've had a council member take the vaccine, or not even a vaccine, experimental gene therapy, and end up with Bell's palsy. And you guys are standing up here trying to tell people that, hey, it's only for large venues and such. We all know that's not the case. And we all know that this is just another level of coercion. You're all going to get recalled regardless of what you vote for. So good luck finding another job after this.
Natasha Robles?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I strongly oppose the mandate, and I know it's been stated that this is only for large venues, but let's be realistic. We know where this is going. So strongly oppose it, and if anyone does vote yes, we're recalling you. So it's as simple as that. And this is not also a Republican recall. I know Ash Kalra is on that propaganda. It is a recall to take back our freedoms.
Heights?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm a 13-year-old boy, and I think that mandating a vaccine is a violation of medical freedom. No one should tell you what to put in your body. This is an experimental vaccine, and this disease has a very high chance of recovery. All these reasons lead to one thing. There's no way that I should have to follow a mandate saying that you have to get this. It is a dictatorship, and it is unconstitutional. You have no right to force me to get anything I do not want to have. Please vote no.
Chalk?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, I'm a 15-year-old American, and I believe that this is just completely ridiculous. You're trying to take away our rights and force us to take what you want us to take, and this is ridiculous, and I think that you should vote no on the vaccine. And every single one of you if you vote yes on this, every single one of you is a communist, and you are going to be recalled. Thank you.
Rula.
Hi, I agree with the concepts that I believe in science, and the science is always changing. Right now, it may look somewhat decent that a vaccine may be permissible, but in a few years, you guys will all find out this vaccine will cause inflammation in the body and is killing people as it is currently. I do not support this vaccine mandate or a vaccine passport. Whatever happened to my body, my choice. Our bodies were created with a natural immunity. Besides the fact that a vaccine does not prevent COVID, leave it up to the people to decide.
Kim O. Kim O.
Hi, thank you. I don't want to repeat what has already been heard. We say this is just for large events, but where does it end? Many people have spoken very passionately about how they feel, including myself. And many people will not do this, even if it is mandated. You do realize that we could end up with a situation like Australia has. What will you do then? Will you throw us in jail? Will you tie us down and inject us? Will you throw us in concentration camps? Where does this lead? Nazi San Jose?
Concerned citizen. Go ahead. Cindy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I am against this mandate. I personally know one person with asthma, one who had cancer, and one who is a type 2 diabetic. They all three had COVID and recovered with no problems. With a greater than 99% recovery rate, why are you even thinking of mandating a vaccine? You want to force people into taking a vaccine, but you yourselves cannot guarantee their long-term safety. So I urge you and everyone attending this to pressure.
David Swander.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So one of the things that was said just a few minutes ago when we started from our dinner break is that 3.4 that we're discussing only applies to 20,000 person events, when in fact it could be up to 50 or more. And then part B of the same thing applies to dining, theaters, gyms, other small events. So
Erica Martin.
I am voting. I want everybody to vote no for a vaccine passport, no for all these mandates. And every single one of you, just remember that you are raping everybody. You are forcing people to put stuff in their bodies. You are forcing everything that everyone is against. So when you are forcing people, that means you are raping every single person that is saying no. So everyone needs to say no to these mandates, no to masks, no to Gavin Newsom because he's a liar and he's a cheater and he's disgusting.
Jared.
Hello.
Go ahead.
I rise today in opposition to any vaccine passports, requirements, and demand a no vote. This is the city council, not the county health department. You have no authority or expertise to enact this unconstitutional medical segregation. Your job is not to mandate individual medical decisions. Those decisions belong to the individuals and their doctors. Vaccination is a medical procedure that carries a risk of injury or death, and every American has the right to decide the level of risk they're willing to bear. Coercion cannot be used to lawfully obtain informed consent for medical procedures.
Patriot 1776.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm a 31-year-old cancer survivor, Hodgkin's lymphoma stage 3. I was treated at Stanford Lucille Packard's Hospital, and I've been told that these can have little effect on my body as I have a compromised immune system, and also I'm at higher risk for blood clot. You guys are literally forcing me to choose between whether I can be in society or not, and that's not okay. You guys need to listen to your people and vote no on this. It started to protect people like me, and now you're forcing me to make decisions that can compromise my health. That's not okay. Vote no or be recalled like Newsom's about to be.
Patriot.
Hi. My decision is that each person who is against this should only support the businesses that say you don't need to have a vaccine card in order to get in, that you don't have to be vaccinated. Put your dollars behind what you're talking about. So anybody who gives you a mandate you and tells you need to bring in some proof of something, don't give them any money, don't pay for anything there, don't buy anything from their business, don't support whatever their venue is. You can use your dollars. They have power to stop this.
Elisa Johnson. Elisa. Vera Cordova.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I have been in San Jose most of my life. I love San Jose. I want to have my kids here, and I'm completely opposed to this. And I am speaking to all of you council members, and especially to you, Maya Esparza. You are my council person, and I'm completely opposed to this. This is not okay. Please vote no.
Natalie Andrade Baker. Natalie. Lori.
Hello. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I have had bad reactions to flu vaccines in the past, so I am very concerned. What has happened to my body, my choice? I haven't heard much of that lately. If the vaccines are so great, then the vaccinated should be fine. If they don't work, then why are you forcing people? Please vote no. Thank you.
Yvette Weislack.
Hello. I'm asking you to vote no on the vaccine passports. Doing otherwise is expecting people to show their papers, is just like Nazi Germany all over again. The COVID vaccine, which is not technically a vaccine, is still an experimental drug. People have been seriously injured and have died from it. This is like Nuremberg Code, a violation against Nuremberg Code.
Christine. Christine. Lisa.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Yes, I just want to say, just like everybody else, thank you for speaking up. And I just want to say segregation is not good. Segregation's never been good. Where is this going to go? We're just going to be segregated. And this vaccine, mandating it, I already had COVID. I have immunity. Why are you making or forcing us to do something we do not want to do? It just makes no sense. But I know this is all about the mighty dollar. Do you understand that's exactly what it is? Everybody wants money. I feel so.
Jay Morrow. Jay Morrow. Okay, Jay Morrow was the last speaker with his hand up prior to the break, so that's our final speaker. Back to council.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony. Thank you to all the members of the community who came to speak and spoke remotely by Zoom. We have heard a lot of frustration. And I don't blame folks for being frustrated because this pandemic has been brutally difficult on thousands of us. We know families who have lost loved ones, families who have lost jobs, businesses, and obviously the many associated mandates and implications of various health orders have been difficult for many. So there's a lot of frustration. I think we're all frustrated. This pandemic is now in the 1.5-year mark, and we simply don't know exactly when it's going to be over. And we are certainly eager to do whatever we can to put it behind us. And that's really part of what this measure is about. I want to make sure I reiterate, because I'm not sure everybody understood, because I heard a lot of folks talking about the council considering some mandate to force people to get vaccinated who don't want to get vaccinated. There's no requirement that people in our city get vaccinated if they choose not to. There is, however, what we're considering is a requirement to show proof of vaccination if you're going to enter a large indoor facility with hundreds or thousands of others, which we know is of great peril as we consider the many super spreader events that have happened throughout our country. I am well aware of the fact that the vaccine is far from foolproof. It's not simply a matter of stopping infection or spread. It's about dramatically reducing the risk of hospitalization and death. In other words, the county has reported that the case rate for unvaccinated is about 3 times the rate of those who are vaccinated in our county. That's not the reason why I'm suggesting we do this. The reason why I'm suggesting we do this is because, according to the Mercury News and many other sources, this morning you'll read 18,000 people are hospitalized right now for COVID in this country, and 95% of them, those who are hospitalized for COVID, are unvaccinated. That is an astounding number when you consider the majority of this country is actually vaccinated. So it's a pretty good predictor of significant harm. I've certainly heard concerns that we're not representing those who have spoken out against this. I appreciate the very passionate appeals that we've heard today. But we are doing our very best to represent our residents and to keep them safe. And we live in a city where 86% of our residents chose to get vaccinated, and they deserve to be represented too. I have heard concerns about segregation. I want to make clear that I find comparisons to racial segregation poorly founded at best. Segregation is unconstitutional, unlawful, and unconscionable in this country because it's based on descriptive criteria such as race. It does not, that is, our prohibitions to segregation don't have anything to do with treating people differently based on their actions or omissions that may increase the risk of harm to our residents. In fact, in a pandemic, the law is quite clear. The United States Supreme Court has been very clear. All the way back to 1902, the United States Supreme Court upheld state quarantine laws in the state of Louisiana. That's right, in the state of Louisiana, a quarantine under the 10th Amendment. The United States Supreme Court has been very clear on this issue. The Constitution is very clear that in a pandemic, we can certainly take measures to protect the lives of individuals and, yes, treat people differently based on actions or omissions. It is not my desire to treat people differently. I'm hopeful as many folks can get vaccinated as possible so they and we can all be better protected. But you still have the freedom not to do so, and nothing that we do tonight is going to change that. It will affect your freedom to attend a hockey game, to be sure, but to my knowledge, that's not in the Constitution. So what I am proposing is a fairly modest step, and it is an effort to try to avoid taking the much more severe steps that we've seen in months past, when county, the state, and many others actually shut down businesses, shut down livelihoods because of the severity of this pandemic. And if we don't take these modest steps, then obviously we're left gambling with the risk that we might have to take more severe ones, and I don't want to go there. So I appreciate everyone's patience as we have heard the obvious frustration of many residents in our community, And I thank my colleagues for their consideration. Councilmember Prowse?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor. And first, I want to say thank you to all the speakers who exercised their right to participate today. And I actually want to especially thank, I know there's not many of you left here, but those of you who stayed in the chambers, especially after the start that we had. I too recognize that the feelings were strong and tensions were high at the beginning of this meeting, and there were some that did not wish to participate respectfully. And I want to say that those of you that did stay within the chambers and remained here to participate have done so very respectfully, and you participated in a way that we would hope everybody can and does, and so I want to say thank you for that. I also recognize that this is a very polarizing issue, and in fact, I personally have friends and family who are strongly against the vaccine for their own reasons. In fact, a few that spoke up today. We may have also heard what was a lopsided set of opinions today, but for anybody that has attended these meetings in the past, you know that is typical when there are polarizing issues that happen to overwhelmingly attract one side of a discussion. The speakers today, and for that matter at any day here at Council, are not necessarily indicative of the sentiments of our entire community. Just as it's definitely not the sentiment of the vast majority of my own friends and family, none of whom came out to participate to show their favor of the mandate or vaccines today, but they have indeed shared those with me directly and personally. So I also want to be clear, as the mayor has, with what I support and what I don't, and most importantly with what we are actually voting on today, as the mayor has reiterated, because there did seem to be a lot of confusion about that. We are voting to require proof of vaccination for anyone wishing to enter a city-owned facility that is hosting events of 50 people or more. And I absolutely support that. We are not voting today to require anyone to get vaccinated. If you don't want to get vaccinated, then at worst, you may miss out on an event like a Sharks game, as the mayor pointed out, or a concert in the coming months as we continue to be in the midst of a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. And I will add, as the mayor made some comments, but I'll add that I find it abhorrent that this mandate has also been compared on multiple occasions today to what occurred under Nazi Germany. The reasoning to me is straightforward. Yes, your personal health decisions are your own, and you can make those decisions. But the burden of our health system in treating and caring for those infected in our community is one that we as elected officials get to own. When we are the ones who can regulate how people participate, especially in non-essential mass gatherings. So you can indeed decide to stay unvaccinated or refuse to show proof of your vaccine or vaccination status, but the consequences will be that you may not get to enter a non-essential large gathering at a city-owned facility. We're also voting today to agendize a future discussion of possible expansion of this mandate to apply to privately owned indoor facilities. We're not voting to actually approve that, but we are voting to agendize that for a future discussion. I do support agendizing that for a future discussion. We are not voting today to apply this mandate to any of those privately owned facilities, but I will tell you that many of them are doing so on their own. So whether you agree with it or not, you may already not be able to enter many businesses here in San Jose without proof of your vaccine or without proof of a negative test. And in example, I actually did take a look at the recall website that was mentioned several times tonight. And in it, there's actually a story that's featured from a business within my district. The story was actually in regards to the challenges that business had with fines or related to COVID placed on them by the Santa Clara County health officials, which I'll tell you, by the way, I disagreed with as well and supported that business in that. Well, you may be surprised to learn that same business on August 19th implemented their very own proof of vaccine or proof of negative test requirements for their patrons entering their own business without us implementing any requirements. They're also not the only ones. Several businesses in my district, though they did not show up to speak today, have already reached out to me to show that they support a citywide mandate on private businesses. And more blatantly, they've done so themselves by implementing their own vaccine requirements. Lastly, we are not voting today to require our police officers or any other city employee to get the vaccine. We have implemented phased approaches to in partnership with our city employees and our bargaining units. And we will be entering phase 1, which does require either proof of a vaccine or weekly testing. That will be a future discussion and decision if we ever get there, which personally, I'll tell you, I hope that we never have to leave phase 1 and that we can achieve high enough vaccination rates that we feel comfortable with our city employees engaging with the public. But that will be for a future discussion as well. Additionally, I want to clear up a couple statements made by some speakers that claim that I suffered from Bell's palsy after getting the vaccine. That is not true. I, in fact, did suffer randomly from Bell's palsy, as most people do, and it happened earlier this year, months before I got the vaccine. I will say that it did account for a delay in me getting the vaccine because I did do some research, as well as spoke with my primary care physician and learned that Bell's palsy was indeed one of the potential side effects from some of the vaccines. I also learned that it was less likely of a side effect with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and thus I ultimately elected to get that vaccine, and I will add that I only suffered a sore arm, no other side effects. Now, unfortunately, my father, who is vaccinated, is right now suffering from COVID. But fortunately for the rest of my family, who we're all in contact with him the evening before he started feeling symptoms, we're also all vaccinated and none of us have been infected, which I credit to our vaccinations as a big reason why. Ultimately, for those who participated today and expressed concern, I'll make it clear again that everybody is absolutely able to make their own health decisions on whether or not they want to get vaccinated. But we, as a council, are also able to decide how to safely operate our city facilities. Therefore, I will be voting yes on the mayor's memo, and I will actually make the motion to approve it. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Cohen?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for bringing this forward for our attention. I do want to thank everyone who spoke today. I know there's a lot, again, as everyone said, there's a lot of passion around this issue, and as Councilmember Peralta said, I want to thank those of you who stayed respectfully in the chamber and followed our masking mandate that the county has in place for indoor facilities. It's important that we remain vigilant and safe during this unprecedented pandemic. I do want to just, again, kind of echo one comment, again, of my colleague. It's kind of hard for me personally to kind of figure out how to react to some of the comparisons that have been made today about mandates like, or rules around vaccination status and attending events and past atrocities in human history, whether it's slavery or segregation, and particularly the atrocities in Nazi Germany. Comparing the attempts to protect our collective public health with the atrocities of Nazi Germany, some of my family members and my distant relatives were victims of that, and to hear those kind of comparisons, it's kind of hard for me to kind of figure out how to react, so I'll just leave it there. But the idea that our attempts to wrap our heads around protecting public health in our county and our city would compare to those kinds of historic atrocities is very difficult for me. I will also just say that these discussions do need to be grounded a bit on science and medicine. This vaccine is, in fact, the most tested vaccine in human history. And I do appreciate that we're discussing this the week that the FDA has approved the vaccine, and I think it's important to understand the science. In the past week, 1,000 Americans have died each day from COVID. It is likely that vaccination would have saved 95% of those people. So it's important that we continue to encourage vaccination in any way that we can. And important that we find ways to protect the public health here in our community. And it's also important to understand that there are people in our community who are still not vaccinated because they cannot be. There are children under the age of 12 who cannot yet be vaccinated. There are people who, because of their immunocompromised situations or other reasons, cannot get the vaccine. And we have to make sure that when they're in public, that they are safe as well. And it's important for us to make sure that when they're attending activities in our public spaces, that they're safe. And we're doing all we can to maximize the safety of our residents through actions that will encourage people to be vaccinated in large gatherings. So I think it's important for us to take this action. Physicians who are in the front lines around the country are taking action right now, particularly in places where hospitals are being overrun by COVID patients. Just yesterday, there was an action in a Florida hospital where physicians walked off the job because too many people are not vaccinated in their community and are saying we need to make sure people get vaccinated because we can no longer handle the loads that we're facing. This pandemic will only end if we work together. And that means that we have to protect one another. This is not about, while this is about individual choice, this is about collective action, about protecting one another. And the vaccine isn't just about protecting ourselves, it's about protecting our community by making sure that vaccinating enough members of our community will provide enough resistance to the vaccine and prevent other variants from forming in our community. And ultimately, until we get to that point where enough residents, including children under 12, are vaccinated, we're not out of the woods. And I just wanted to say one last thing about the question about this being a mandate. I think others have mentioned this. This isn't a mandate requiring anybody to get a vaccine. Individuals will still continue to have a choice about whether they get the vaccine. This is a question of whether or not individuals will be able to enter certain venues without proof of vaccination. And I know there's been a couple of questions about sharing health information and questions about whether or not there's violations around that. I just want to be clear. There have been vaccine mandates in our society for over a century.
Yeah.
Students are required to give vaccine proof to enter kindergarten across the United States. We already require them to prove that they have measles vaccines and many other vaccines in order to enter school. Right now, students have to have vaccines in order to attend San José State University. The military is now requiring all over 1 million active duty members to get vaccines for COVID. This is nothing new. This is nothing sinister. This is common action in the United States. And it's something that the Supreme Court, as has been mentioned before, allows. It's something that the Constitution allows. Just want that to be clear. So I think that's it. I'll be supporting this. I do have a question about the mayor's intention on the second item, coming back with data to discuss moving on to the private facilities.
Yes, you probably noticed the date was not specified because we really want to give staff an opportunity to really think hard about this before and consider how they might come back. So I don't mean to dump this on Lee and Dolan, but as we all discussed it, I think we all agree to be good to give them some flexibility and some space because, for example, San Francisco just implemented their mandate, a few days ago, so it's going to take some time to understand the impacts.
And what kind of, what do we would be looking for as far as data and understanding? I mean, how do we evaluate, what do we be looking at to evaluate what's working?
In many ways, that's up to us, and I encourage the conversation with Lee and Dolan, but for me, what was important to understand is this implementable? Are small businesses able to do this in particular, because we know the burdens are considerable on them already? And is this really affecting hospitalization rates and other things that we care about, protecting our community? But maybe they'd be best at responding.
I think we need to look at obviously San Francisco and then New York and Los Angeles and see what data is available. For us, which we really appreciate the mayor's memorandum, I think in that second recommendation, we really hold kind of the 4 pillars that he put in there, pretty essential to our analysis that we'd like to do, which is the impact on local businesses, change in, infection rates in and around the city, as well as are we seeing a change in vaccination rates and safety of employees, and I know specifically the small business community in New York and San Francisco really led hard on that because of the ability of, if some of those small businesses have infections, that business closes for 2 weeks, and there's a huge, economic impact. So those partners worked hard with the city to build in the data. So we've made contact with those 3 cities. As the data is available, it'll help inform our analysis, but we also do want to engage, with the Office of Economic Development, some of the businesses, on how something like this would be implemented in the next few weeks.
Okay. Well, good. I appreciate that. I mean, from what I've been seeing, it looks like they've been fairly smooth in both New York and San Francisco as far as how it's been going. And I appreciate that we're a very good data-driven city. So I like that we're going to be smart about it, but also don't want us to take too long because, we'd like to get through this quickly. And the sooner we get through it, the sooner we can then move, into the next phases and maybe be out of this. So I appreciate that. But I thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Okay. That's it for my comments.
Thank you. Councilmember Esparza?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of questions. So before I get to my comments. So first, in San Francisco, the mandate didn't just come from the city, it came from the Department of Health. And so I wanted to ask about our communication and the stance of the Public Health Department. I understand what we're doing right now is our own buildings, but I wanted to talk about that connection.
Yeah, certainly it's something we have discussed and we're going to keep discussing. And I know Lee and I think, have communicated about bringing it up on Friday in our next discussion. So I totally agree. We want to make sure we're doing this in partnership with the health professionals.
Thank you. And then my second question is that the proposal includes city staff working at those facilities. Isn't that a meet and confer issue that we are in the process of right now? Or
actually, I don't know if we actually have city staff. I know there's staff that work for Team San Jose and the Sharks and others. And
just staff. So
yes.
Then the contracted staff.
That's right.
That work. So they're third parties. Okay.
Yeah, my understanding is I think they already have mandates. I know in Team San Jose they do.
Yes, most of those organizations have mandates now. From the administration perspective, we were dealing with city employees as part of stage 1 and stage 2, which we've talked to the mayor and council about. But this is specific to those contractors' staff, not city staff.
Where the mandate already exists.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I'll be supporting the memo and the motion. I represent a community that has been, along with District 5, hardest hit by COVID in terms of deaths, in terms of cases, in terms of the economic impacts. My community has fought very hard over the past 18 months for access to testing, to vaccines, and services like isolation and support. Communities like mine represent many of the essential workers who live in overcrowded living conditions and aren't able to sit home. Many have been working, they've been delivering food, they've been working in grocery stores, they've been taking care of people's children. And so it's interesting because they've been fighting just for their lives this past 18 months. And we have had numerous discussions and debates about how we can best do that here at the city. So this is a part of that. I also wanted to address some of the comments made today. Words like segregation, comparisons to Jim Crow and Nazi Germany are offensive and completely miss the point of the lessons that history has taught us about human rights, about racism, xenophobia, and bigotry. More than that, these comparisons are dangerous. And this is the type of public discourse that has led to an increase in hate crimes, particularly in our Asian community. Today, we witness disrespect to a local religious leader in our community, something that both saddens me, but also makes me angry. This is not San Jose. We're better than that. This misinformation that we have heard is also dangerous. Misinformation has spread very quickly online, and I don't think there's enough time for us to respond to each scientific assertion because there was a lot of misinformation that I heard tonight. I think it's dangerous. I think this is why we have started to see standards in social media because it spreads and it's costing communities our lives, because then we as a city, we as our educators, as nonprofits with public health, we have to work that much harder to explain the science. And we want to bring people along. Tonight's vote is about buildings that we are responsible for as a city. It is not a vaccine mandate, as has already been explained. It's about some buildings that we control. And it is an individual's right to choose whether to attend a Sharks game or not. And I will be gladly supporting this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Arenas?
Oh, thank you. I also have some questions. So I know this is for city-owned facilities, and I'm wondering, is this also applying to outdoor events? I know that it had proposal for events over 50. But I know that we host a lot of events in our parks, our Viva Parks, our Viva Calles, and so I'm wondering how would that would
No, it's just for indoor events.
just indoor.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so then, and so for it's indoor, 50 people or more.
That's right.
Would there be any exemptions in the same fashion that we're having exemptions for people who are medically exempted by their providers? Is
Yeah,
there going to be an
my
exemption
understanding,
or?
as I've seen the language, it provides for exemptions to the extent constitutionally required. And I guess I would want to also ask for inclusion of language from whoever makes the motion to allow the city manager to have some discretion in terms of how to handle those exemptions, because I think that probably requires a deeper dive.
Okay, good.
I'm happy to include that in the motion.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Councilmember Perales. I forgot. Thank you.
In the memo or in the motion?
In the motion.
Got it. Thank you. Good. I'm glad you're going to consider that. I would like to see the kind of analysis on exemptions, because although people may be able to be exempted, it doesn't mean that they should be exempted at a Sharks game. I just, there's nothing mandatory about a Sharks game. I would think that we would take a look at the kind of event, because I just wouldn't feel right about creating an opportunity for others to get sick simply because there's an exemption. And then let's see, what other questions did I have? And then we talked about the timing and allowing staff the flexibility, so I'm good with that. I think just the last thing that I wanted to talk about was, these are just comments about some of the concerns that I heard today about the quick development of vaccines and vaccine efficacy, and maybe there's some very valid concerns about negative reactions to vaccines in our own children or in our immunocompromised families and communities. And so I know that there are some very valid reasons why people may be leery about vaccines. But that's not the majority of the people that I heard speak today. I heard more concerns about freedom and having and feeling segregated because there was going to be an imposition to those people's lives. I've heard the loss of liberty in the same way that they likened it to Nazi orders and Jim Crow orders. It's an alignment that I'm not sure that I can understand. I understand homeopathic medicine because my mother had a remedy for almost any ailment I can think of. And some of those herbs and teas and remedies that I used to take were not the best smelling or best tasting, but they got the job done. And you know, it was generations of accumulation of knowledge of some of these herbs, and I tried to capture as much as I could before my mother passed away. So I don't oppose non-traditional healing and approaches to healing. I understand them because that's the way I grew up. And at the same time, when my mother was diagnosed with stomach cancer, she also understood that there weren't going to be enough remedies, home remedies and herbs that could alleviate the pain or even cure the cancer, the stomach cancer that she was diagnosed with. So I know that if there was a vaccine against cancer, that she would be 100% behind it. I lost my mom when I was in my 20s. And I think if she was here today, I know she would take the vaccine, even though she believes in homeopathic medicine. I know she would take every precaution to not endanger myself or my, you know, or herself and others, because I know my parents taught me to make sure that we serve our community and that the collective good is more important than an individual want or desire. And that's one of the reasons why I've come into public service, is that it's more important the benefit for the greater good, basically what it comes down to. Not to say that we trample on anybody's freedoms and personal choices, certainly, but when we are faced with something that none of us have lived through, which is a pandemic, we have to take a look at the greater good. And so I know from my own upbringing that I need to wear a mask to protect others, and that I need to vaccinate to protect others. And there isn't a freedom that I'm losing. What I'm gaining is the health and the well-being of the rest of our community. And so because of that, I am going to support the motion on the floor. And I hope that we can get to really hear each other and listen to each other in terms of the different places that we are all in. And I'm not sure that, you know, of course we'll get there tonight, but I really hope that we can begin to open that conversation versus having, you know, threats made to us because of the decisions that we're going to make that are going to benefit the greater good. So I invite you to continue to have conversations with us, to continue to meet us in the middle, so that it also could benefit everybody who is around us and the people that you love and that you want to protect.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Jimenez?
Thank you. I think most of my comments, most of my comments and most of my questions were really captured by the words shared by my colleagues. I think it's just important to highlight, and I suspect everyone that speaks is going to probably touch on this, but the fact that I was taken aback by some of the comparisons that were made. I just found them appalling, frustrating, and quite frankly, a little ignorant. But anyhow, I'm going to be supporting the motion on the floor, and certainly number 2, coming back for further conversation on broader sort of considerations as it relates to private venues. I did have some questions. I think most of the questions were answered in the language in the ordinance itself. I had originally some questions about the libraries and such, because I know those are a little unique and they sometimes can have events of 50 people or more. So I think I'm certainly no exception, but as I go through this, I assume many of us are thinking about things that could happen, right? And so one of the things that came to mind for me that wasn't really captured in this is just even an event that happened not too long ago with the retirement of Dave Sykes. I know we had an event in the Rotunda, so I'm curious, that type of event, I assume, is going to require proof of vaccination, or is that?
Yes, it would.
Right, okay, that was my thinking as well. Okay, wonderful. The other question I had, and I'm not privy to all the conversations, so I'm hoping you can sort of touch on this, Mayor, but I'm curious if some conversations have been had with some of the partner Sharks, Team San Jose and the like, that may be impacted by this, and if you could tell us a little bit about what they've thought through.
Yeah, I've spoken with the CEO both of the Sharks and of Team San Jose. I know staff has also had outreach with many leaders of other organizations like Jessica Pasadios over at Mexican Heritage Plaza and many other operators of these facilities. So we've had a lot of engagement. I think it's fair to say broadly there's been support, but I don't want to steal staff's thunder if they have more specific information.
I don't know if we have any thunder, but I would say the conversations with the operators, questions about implementation, which we've said that we're going to gather the operators together and figure this out as a team collectively, but mostly one of support and appreciation, especially around trying to add more protection for their employees. So those conversations have gone well, but there's more work to do on the implementation side. But I think that'll be something that, as I said, that we do together and we'll figure out.
Yeah, maybe I should just add, there was concern about how quickly they could ramp up to be ready to implement. And so I think we have specifically given space here for staff to work that out so it can be done easily.
Okay, all right, very good. Obviously, it's going to have an impact, right? And they're going to need to stand up, I'm sure, some capacity as it relates to getting folks processed through the gates and such. Okay, the only other question I had, and I apologize, I just trying to dissect the ordinance and look through it, and I may have missed it, but the idea as to when this would sunset and what it's tied to. Is it tied to the orders, the state orders, county orders? How long does this go on? I mean, what's the expectation or the thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think it's, excuse me, Dolan Beckel, interim deputy city manager. It's tied to two things. It's tied to either a subsequent ordinance or the end of the emergency proclamation.
Okay. All right. So if it was prior to the end of the emergency proclamation, then it would be something that we would need to initiate here as to end it early, if you will.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to be supporting it. I appreciate the memos, Mayor, and appreciate all the comments that have been made. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Foley?
Thank you. This has been a real difficult conversation to have today and to listen to. I do want to thank everyone who stayed in chambers and remained respectful and polite. I listened to every one of you, as I always do. I always listen to public comment, and I make notes about public comment. But some of the things which my colleagues have already talked about have already been stated. I find frustrating, appalling, made me angry, particularly the implication that around religion and God. None of you know my religion. None of you presume to guess or have your strong beliefs in your God, and that's wonderful. I appreciate that. I too have a strong and deeply held religious beliefs too. So your God and my God are probably the same. and how we process that and deal with it is differently. But I believe in going forward with kindness and respect. Those who caused the disturbance in the chambers earlier today, I do not have respect for that. The way that the monk was treated was disrespectful. The way that our community was treated was disrespectful and racist. You have a right, as I have a right, to do what I want to do with my body. Many of you said, my body, my choice, and I agree with that. So this mandate does not say you have to get vaccinated, as been said before. You have to get vaccinated if you want to go see a Sharks game. And that's what this is about, is our public, the spaces that the city of San Jose owns, those are the ones we can control, and those are the ones that we can dictate the vaccine over. I do believe in your personal freedom. I believe in my personal freedom. My personal freedom and my personal choice is to get vaccinated. Yours may not be. And while I don't quite understand that, I appreciate your right to have that opinion and to not get vaccinated. I also know that there are a lot of people who are immunocompromised, who have difficulties or very strong concerns about getting vaccinated, and I appreciate that too. Many of those people are homebound, and so I worry about them from a very different point of view. So one of the women, and I don't know if you're in the room right now, posed a question to us if we've ever changed our point of view after public comment. And I will say that I have, but not tonight. Tonight, I will support the motion that is on the table, but I do have I have a couple of questions, and I want to make it clear. This is about when the reason I made the decision personally to get vaccinated was not for me, but it's for the older people around me and younger people around me, to protect them. It's not for anyone else but them. That's why I got vaccinated. Everyone else makes that choice and makes that decision, but that's the point of our personal freedoms. We all have that freedom to make that decision. In some cases, that freedom has been taken away, or that decision has been taken away, in that if you are a student who wants to attend any CSU university in this state, you must be vaccinated by September 30th. That's students, faculty, and staff. So that's mandated, that the students who called in from San Jose State, they're going to have to prove that they're vaccinated. Many the schools, all public, private, K through 12, are required to have their staffs vaccinated. And that includes teachers and on-site staff. And in some cases, if the students are of an age that they can be vaccinated, some private schools are requiring that as well. So this is not unprecedented at all. I do have some questions. I am going to support the motion, but I have some questions about it. The friendly amendment that you included, Councilmember Perales, was that regarding exemptions to the ordinance?
Yes, yeah, it wasn't stated explicitly in the memo, and so as Councilmember Arenas brought up the question on would that be considered, the mayor stated that he felt he wanted it to, he said yes, but he felt he wanted that to be with the staff's discretion as well, and so I said I would include that in the motion.
Okay, and could that include medical exemptions, religious exemptions, as we would for our own staff, and for those who are too young? If I'm going to a Sharks game and I'm vaccinated, but I have an 11-year-old with me who can't get vaccinated, can I bring them into the game?
Yeah, I'll let the mayor restate kind of what your intent was, Mayor, and then I'll answer.
I want to provide staff some flexibility here because I think we know that the imperative, for example, to show up at work where there may be a vaccine mandate is quite a bit different than the imperative to go to an entertainment event.
Right.
So I think it's important to give staff some flexibility about the scope of that, obviously within constitutional bounds.
Okay, great. The other thing I would ask staff to consider is the exemption to include a negative COVID test within a certain amount of time, as we do for other things. I know initially when the Giants, San Francisco Giants, opened up their stadium again, they required all vaccinations or a negative test, and then they removed that. And
Yeah, I think there's some real challenges there, and I'll ask Leader Dolan to respond, but there's some real challenges in implementation relying on those tests.
okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say that in discussions with some of the operators, just a clear path forward on being able to implement this was preferred. And I would say, just as a reminder, it's not just some of our operators in our facilities. You know, Public Works is also going through this with our facilities as well. The negative COVID test added an additional layer and is much more easily forged or faked, especially for people that are taking it at home. And so the ability of someone to check that versus with a quick kind of QR code. But again, I would say this is an urgency ordinance, as we've said with other urgency ordinances. This is something we're going to explore as we go through implementation. And if it becomes something of a green light for us, that there's a really easy pathway and that it makes sense, we can do that and come back.
Okay, thank you. Your comments about forgeries sort of leads me to my next question. How will we ensure, or is there a way, we're asking our vendors to check for the vaccination status, correct? So they have to show we're not doing, the city of San Jose isn't collecting this data, we're not doing anything with this data, it's just our facilities, it's a requirement of us and our tenants. Is that correct? So I guess we don't care if there's a forgery. They should care if there's a forgery. I've heard situations of young people going to bars in San Francisco having fake IDs, fake vaccination cards. So have we considered that? And if we've considered it, how do you suggest we handle it, or we advise our vendors to handle it?
Dolan Beckel, Interim Deputy City Manager. So you asked several questions. The first question was, are we collecting the data? And the answer is no.
Can you say that
I'm sorry.
again, emphatically?
The first question was,
the city of San Jose is not collecting the data in any way, shape, or form.
The city of San Jose is only collecting data for its employees. It's a yes, no, has this been validated or not?
Right.
The second question, I'll say, the spectrum of least forgeable starts with the QR code from the state of California and other states who are working together to have a nationwide QR code. Right now, you can download an application that's been fully tested and verified. It's the only application that can read the QR code. That is the least forgeable thing to do because this app company has worked with the state of California to ensure that it can read the QR code correctly and will detect any forgeries. It is possible that can be some photoshops to the actual card or the picture of the card, and you're correct that there'll have to be some training, and I think that's the best practices. We're going to look at New Orleans, who's implementing a much broader public implementation, LA, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, and use those best practices to help our operators.
Okay, and there has been several mentions from the callers and those in the audience about a vaccine passport. We are not encouraging, requiring, establishing a vaccine passport. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you. Councilmember Mahan?
Thanks, Mayor. I think I'll be quite brief. My colleagues made some great points and asked some great questions. I think I'm in agreement with everything that was said. Did hear from a number of residents, and obviously we had a lot of public comments, so felt that I ought to say a few words. I appreciate how many people participated today. It was great to see so many people in the chamber. Obviously don't agree with some of the words and actions of some of the folks who came, but appreciate that exercise of folks' freedom of speech, and especially those who kept it respectful. Also say, I personally really strongly strongly believe in and try to lead my life according to principles of personal responsibility and choice. So I don't take these decisions lightly. But I also try to remember that in so many cases, we have to balance our freedom and rights with various values that we have and various goals that we have, particularly in a community. We're not allowed to drive at whatever speed we want, or yell fire in a theater, or do all sorts of things that can increase the risk of harm to others. And so when I look at this decision, I think we have to weigh some competing values, care and love for our fellow residents with the kind of freedom to do what we want to do. And for me, this first recommendation is a reasonable trade-off when it comes to large public events that are not a necessity in the vast majority of cases. I think the risk that we face is too great to not create this incentive to get vaccinated. So I support the first recommendation. I do have concerns about the second one in practice. I have concerns about the burdens on small businesses. I think it is worth studying what other cities are doing and learning and really deeply understanding what the trade-offs may be, what the risks are. And I'm very open to coming back and having that conversation. And I'll just say to the members of the public, I hope you'll come back and continue to share your experiences and opinions with us when we get to that second question. I'll just end by saying that we heard a lot of information and misinformation this evening, and I think the evidence, everything that I've seen, shows that the vaccines are largely safe, quite effective, and as Councilmember Foley said, it's a choice I've personally made, and I think the sooner that we embrace the science on this, the sooner we're going to get through this together as a community and take care of each other. So I'll be voting in favor, despite having some hesitations about where that second recommendation may lead. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Davis?
Thank you, Mayor. I will also be supporting our recommendation this evening. I just wanted to clarify, is it still an urgency ordinance, or are we, because doesn't an urgency ordinance go into effect right away, but we're saying that we're going to give some flexibility. So is it still an urgency ordinance, or how are we wording
Yes,
this?
it's still an urgency ordinance. We have greater flexibility on when we start implementing and enforcing it on a staff level, is my understanding.
Okay, so then the motion includes the supplemental memo that clarified that? Is that how?
Councilmember Perales,
the motion.
the supplemental memorandum would be included in the motion.
Your supplemental, yes.
That's right.
Yeah, sorry, I'll include that as well, thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you. I am much more comfortable supporting this now that Pfizer has been fully approved. I think that's helpful for some of the people who have been waiting to get the vaccine for full FDA approval. I was not one of those people. I was happy to get it as soon as I was eligible, as was every member of my family. Thankfully, they are all over the age of 12. And I just want to thank everyone who came out tonight to exercise your freedom of speech. We are lucky to have that in this country, and all my colleagues for all of their comments. And I think it bears repeating, if you don't want to be vaccinated, you don't have to be vaccinated. It just means that you will not be able to come to these city facilities with events, with at-large events. The statistic that you gave, Dolan, was 1,000 times more virus in people's system when they have the Delta variant. I hadn't heard that before. I know it's much more contagious, and now I know why. And it's very scary to me. I do know that there are more and more people getting breakthrough cases, and vaccines are not 100%. And as some of my colleagues have stated, people under the age of 12 can't get a vaccine. Some people who have gotten a vaccine have not developed the antibodies. It's incumbent on those of us who are healthy and who are able to get vaccines, from my perspective, to get them to protect those who cannot be protected. So I am comfortable with requiring this at city facilities. I do want to see the data and I think we will have a robust discussion when we come back with other cities' experience requiring it at privately owned facilities. I do want to have a very robust discussion. Our businesses have been so hard hit, and I will want to hear directly from our small businesses about that before I make a decision on that issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Cohen?
Yeah, just first of all, as the seconder of the motion, I hadn't officially agreed with
My apologies.
with the amendments, and part of it is that I wanted to ask a little bit of clarifying question. Obviously, the second part, which was the supplemental memo, I'm fine with. Just want to ask a little bit of clarifying on the first part. It was a little bit unclear to me exactly some of the stuff that's in there. I know we're kind of leaving it up to discretion of the city to sort of decide, but part of me, I kind of want to sort of ask about how we'll know or what we'll see as far as what comes back. Will we be looking at it? Will it just sort of come back as an ordinance for approval in the ordinance on consent? How will that process occur so we'll know what the city's is deciding on that? Because there's a lot of decisions about who will be allowed when they're in that unvaccinated category.
I'll let staff answer.
Or I saw Nora maybe wanted to say something about that.
I can start. The ordinance itself indicates that the city manager or designee is authorized to implement the ordinance in the same manner and consistent with provisions of the Muni Code. So that's the implementation piece that has been discussed, and it is an urgency ordinance, so it will go into effect.
So, I mean, since there's some questions, for example, in my mind, I feel like we might treat children differently than we would treat somebody with other kinds of exemptions, and we don't. I don't want to necessarily dictate here on the dais how we would do that, but for me, children under 12 and saying, well, at this point, we're not going to allow children under 12 to attend an event at, a musical or a Sharks game versus, I wanted to kind of know how we might approach that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And so right now in the ordinance, this does not apply to children 12 and younger.
Okay, so we would
they're not able to be vaccinated, so this does not apply to them.
Okay. So that's okay.
In the coming weeks, if FDA does give approval, I would imagine staff could come back and rethink that. But I would ask for some time and space to figure that out. On kind of the gray area where staff is getting additional flexibility on implementation, I could see us, once we're close to implementation and rolling this out, issuing an info memo that lays all of this out so that you guys clearly understand where this is going, and then have the information to communicate to your residents, as you guys, often do, so we can commit to that before we fully implement.
So I'm comfortable with then agreeing as a seconder to this and saying it applies to people under emergency or FDA approved vaccine authorization, and that then the rest would be under discretion of the city as far as the other exemptions and things like that. So I'll agree to the second. And then I did have one other question I wanted to ask. Is there some thought about, since in other areas the counties health departments have been making some of these rules, is there some discussion with the county about what they're thinking as far as mandates in this county about businesses and what they might do, or is the county sort of staying hands off going forward on this?
We have discussed with the county specifically after this memorandum came out, and I know that they've said they've looked at it. They don't have a lot of large facilities like we do that actually, host events like this. So I think they're probably, at least what was told to us, I think, as the mayor referenced earlier, spending a bit more time researching what San Francisco has done with kind of the larger model of bars and restaurants and other possible tweaks to the public health order that would further mitigate some of the effects of the Delta variant. So they're very encouraging in us going in this direction, but didn't feel a need for them to look at this.
So they're not considering potentially doing our Part B on their own. They're waiting to see what we would do.
I wouldn't say that either. I think we're all looking at the data. I don't want to speak for them.
Okay, I'm just curious. So in other words, there's a possibility that even the county might move ahead of us on this and implement it without us, right? Okay.
That would certainly be a happy outcome.
Yes,
okay,
absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right,
So,
thank you.
yeah, you know, from at least in terms of county senior staff, I think there was strong support for the first step that we are taking today.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Foley.
The details seem to be popping into my head as other people are speaking. Do we own the Montgomery Theater?
Yes.
Okay. So in thinking about the Montgomery Theater, I'm thinking about some of the performances there. Does this mandate or ordinance, would it be required that the performers be vaccinated? In actually would be all of our venues, if they're over 12 or 12 or over? Okay.
So,
I see head shaking.
Yeah, so Dolan Beckel, interim deputy city manager, in section F of the ordinance, it does not include performers or players who are not employed by the city.
Oh,
by
okay.
the business, governmental, or so.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you were at the Montgomery Theater or the CPA, all vendors, all visitors would be under the ordinance, but the actual performers, you know, are handled differently, is my understanding.
Got it. Okay. Very good. That helps. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, any other questions? All right, let's vote then on Councilmember. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, Councilmember Kraska, forgive me. Yeah, forgive me. I forgot about you there out there. That was a big mistake.
I'm here.
Yes.
And I've been here the entire time since the beginning, have been glued to my seat, believe it or not. I just want to say a couple of things. I don't want to belabor the point any longer because my council colleagues have been very thorough, and I appreciate the feedback that they've given. I have to say I agree with just about everything that's been said, and I echo those same sentiments. I do want to thank the audience who came out and participated. I'm very disheartened as I see the number of participants on my screen. We're down to 271. We were almost at 400. It would have been great for them to have stayed as well to listen to the final remarks, just the way that we've been glued to our seats listening to them. Whether we agree or don't agree, it's important to voice your opinion and your stance on the issues that we're voting on and that are going to impact the residents of the city of San Jose. I will tell you, and Councilmember Esparza made note of this, that I, like her, represent a district that was hardest hit in the entire county of Santa Clara. And these are individuals who were the elderly, who were service providers, who were frontline workers. These are individuals who, for no fault of their own, have to live in overcrowded conditions in very dense populated districts. And so they were a perfect target for COVID-19. They did not have a natural immunity, and I'm not exactly sure what natural immunity is when it comes to COVID-19. We heard repeatedly from different individuals who spoke today that they had it 2, even 3 times, and then they're claiming a natural immunity. If you're getting sick repeatedly, you're not immune to COVID-19. And so I will be supporting this motion primarily because I'm deeply, deeply concerned about the ramifications of not doing it and not expecting individuals to be vaccinated or simply having exposure. A lot of individuals who cannot get the vaccine at this point are very vulnerable and susceptible to getting sick, and the long-term impacts of COVID-19. There was a lot of expression of concerns over the implications of the vaccine in a lifetime. I'm more concerned, deeply, deeply troubled by the ramifications of having COVID-19, especially among young people who are just starting out their lives. And we're seeing that they have ongoing health issues, complications, life-altering conditions. And my concern is for our kiddos who may not have complete autonomy yet from their families, and who are potentially being prevented from getting the vaccine for whatever reasons, and then the long-term implications of their lives, and also, of course, the long-term implications on the taxpayer. I appreciate Councilmember Foley, who stated that she got the vaccine not for herself but for others, and I truly appreciate her generosity in doing that. I have to be perfectly and very frank with all of you in terms of why I got it and why my kiddos, 4 of them, got it, including my extended family members. I did it for me. I'm terrified of getting COVID-19. I'm terrified of the long-term implications, and I'm terrified of being yanked away from this life right now, as my kiddos are just starting to find their footing in this life. And the thoughts of them not having a mother, it is a very scary thought, especially as a single mom, to think that my children could potentially have to be by my bedside, watching me gasping for air or hooked up to a ventilator. I don't want them to have to experience that, not right now, as they're just starting off and experiencing their own lives. So the last thing I want to add is, the shutdown devastated my district, just like it devastated District 7, a great portion of District 3, and then pockets throughout the entire city. But it preyed on the most vulnerable families in our city, and they are still currently living with the fear of eviction because they lost their jobs, their businesses were shut down, their children were disconnected from their education for months on end, and they're still not back at work. They've had to stand in line for hours, starting at 7 in the morning, just for 2 small boxes of food so that they could make ends meet during the worst health crisis of our time. And for those who are still here, who are still listening, who are still on the line, and I see that I'm losing numbers by the second, that I challenge you to come out to our districts if you're interested. I'm more than happy to open those doors. But to see the devastation in our communities is not a minor thing. It's a major thing for the entire city of San Jose. We should all be very concerned and take those measures necessary to protect ourselves and make sure our children are not left without a parent, to protect our children, those who cannot take the vaccine now, and especially to protect those who are very vulnerable. People express their concerns for people of color, communities of need. They talked about minorities and the concern that they had for them. I invite you to see what are some of the other policies that we're going to be talking about in terms of protecting tenants, protecting very, very low income families, protecting women in domestic violence situations, and children who are very vulnerable. I invite you to join in on those conversations as well, because I hear your interest in making sure that those communities are well taken care of. So with that, Mayor, thank you so much for putting this forward. I think as the 3rd largest city in California, 10th in the country, we have a huge responsibility to lead by action and make sure that we are taking care of all of our residents, not just some, and that we do it with science-backed data and facts, not misinformation and not fear tactics. So thank you so much. I will be supporting this.
Thank you, Councilmember. All right, any further statements? All right, let's vote on Councilmember Peralta's motion, seconded by Councilmember Cohen.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Carrasco? Aye. Davis?
Yes.
Esparza?
Yes.
Arenas?
Yes.
Foley?
Aye.
Mahan?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Ricardo?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're moving forward now to item 10.1, which is the consent calendar for land use.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Right. I'm going to ask for public comment on the consent calendar 10.1, consent land use calendar. If anyone is raising their hand, they should be wanting to speak specifically on. Oh, you know what? One item was renumbered. Okay, Nora just pointed out to me, we don't have to vote on this because everything's been either renumbered or deferred. So let's move on. Thanks, Nora. Okay. I'll read the calendar more carefully. 10.2 is a special use permit for West San Carlos Street mixed-use project. And there is a presentation. Welcome to us to our show here, Chris Burton. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Chris Burton, Director of Planning, Building and Code Enforcement. Good evening. I will be brief, just to run through quickly the main points on this project. Also joined by staff via the Zoom call. Robert Manford and other key staff are available for questions as well. So just briefly, the item before you is a special use permit located at 1530 to 1544 West San Carlos Street. Just to give you a sense here, San Carlos, just at Buena Vista. The project includes the demolition of a number of structures on site and then a two-phase development to allow the construction of two 7-story mixed-use buildings totaling 173 residential units and 17,836 square feet of retail. The project prepared an EIR that was circulated in January earlier this year. It includes a statement of overriding considerations for 2 items. The first includes the demolition of a craftsman-style house and 7 Spanish Revival-style bungalows on the site. The second is related to the proposed project, resulting in a cumulative considerable contribution to a significant cultural resources impact. The project did go through a joint community and environmental scoping meeting back in January. Some of the key issues included building heights, traffic, parking availability, as well as retail. And then lastly, the Planning Commission on July 14th recommended that City Council approve a resolution adopt a resolution approving the project's EIR, as well as a resolution approving the special use permit and the site development permit. The staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you, Chris. Is the applicant here wishing to make a statement in support?
Do we know, I have a few hands up. What is the applicant's name?
Jeff Current would likely be the applicant.
Jeff Current is present on Zoom.
Great. Jeff, would you like to speak?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, I've got a slideshow as well. I don't know if you guys can share screen.
I think so.
I need to promote him to panelist.
Okay, we're going to promote you to panelist here, Jeff.
Oh,
wait, I think you're a panelist already, so it's good. I see Paul Ring's got his hand up too, so he may want to get over here to the panelist side as well.
Paul Ring?
Yeah, Paul Ring. Oh, that's the next item? Okay, sorry, check that. Paul's on for the next item.
He's on as panelist, so he'll be set for the next
Okay,
item now.
great.
all right. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yeah, we can. Thanks, Jeff.
Great. Good evening, Mayor Liccardo and City Council. First thing I want to do is thank Alec Atienza and the planning staff for their hard work on the project. Also for Dev Davis and Marianne Gruen of District 6 for their involvement. I'm Jeff Current of Studio Current Urban Design and Architecture. We're here to present a new residential mixed-use development. The property owner is Urban Villas LLC. Managing partner is VG Manny. Studio Current is the architect with Tai Wu as the lead designer. Joni Janecki and Associates is the landscape architect. JMH Weiss, the civil engineer, and David Powers, our environmental consultant. Our neighborhood, as Chris said, is the West San Carlos Urban Village. It's a 2-mile long strand, kind of stretching from Highway 880 in the west to Dirdon area in the east. Our site is right about the center of the urban village. The urban village plan envisions, quote, a well-connected neighborhood and vibrant business district with mid-rise mixed-use buildings approximately 65 to 85 feet in height. The existing neighborhood character has a broad spectrum of uses, including older commercial and retail buildings, used car lots, new residential, new commercial, and some mixed-use projects, which we are proposing ourselves. Our urban design goal is to create an active streetscape and pedestrian-friendly corridor. Lots of planting, seating, sidewalk dining, shopping. Bus rapid transit by VTA runs along this corridor. The site itself is a 1.3 acre site with a former Salvadoran restaurant, 8 residential units, as Chris mentioned, a car lot, and a rental car business. The restaurant and the residents have all relocated to other sites several months ago. This is the basement and first floor plan of the building. I think on the right-hand side is probably the most important. The basement is fully parking. The entire street frontage is lined with retail, restaurant, and lobby space. We do have 173 residential units, approximately 130 units per acre, 17,800 square feet of commercial space, including restaurant, retail, and office on levels 1 and 2. There are 163 required parking spaces, and we're providing 189 in the below grade and on grade structure. This is level 2 and 3, and you can see level 2, the pink lining West San Carlos Street is office space. There's a gym and fitness center on that level. This is still in the concrete portion of the building, by the way. Level 2 is a 12-foot high floor with loft-style live-work units, 21 of those. Level 3 starts the wood-framed portion of the building. It's units surrounding courtyards pretty much from that way up with amenity space on every floor. This is level 4 and 5. We have 3 courtyards. As we get to level 5, we've got a large south-facing sun terrace. Level 6 and level 7. Level 7 has a couple of amenity rooftop decks as well. And the next slide, let's see, next slide shows the elevations of the building. This is the top one is the West San Carlos Street elevation. The bottom one is the west elevation, kind of facing downtown San Jose. The materiality of this project is it's modern architecture with elements of mid-century modern design. Mid-century was kind of the stated style as what the West San Carlos urban village plan should embody. This is a 7-story building, podium type, 2 levels of concrete with 5 levels of wood, 85 feet in height. The materials are board form concrete, white plaster, gray, large format gray tiles, wood paneling, ample glazing with mid-century signage and lighting details. This is the other 2 elevations of the building, the south and the east. The renderings here show on the left, you see the West San Carlos street frontage at the corner of Buena Vista Avenue. On the right-hand side, you see the new proposed pedestrian paseo. It's a 30-foot wide swath of publicly accessible kind of a neighborhood amenity. You can see the 5th floor recreation deck that's a part of the kind of the community benefit for the residents. There's a couple of mid-century modern signs in various stages of condition, but we are working on exploring how to reuse and refurbish some of the signage for our project to kind of give some mid-century style. The next renderings show aerial views of a couple of the courtyards and a couple of the rooftop decks. And then the next couple slides are from our landscape architect, Joni Janecki and Associates, and they've done a really good job of activating West San Carlos Street with these new wide sidewalks, a couple of really nice recessed outdoor dining opportunities for expanded outdoor seating, and bicycle parking and street trees. This shows the pedestrian paseo to the south of the project. It's got a tot lot, some nice seating areas with shade trees and a dog, kind of a small dog park. And then this shows 3 different levels, level 3, level 5, I'm sorry, I'm going backwards from the bottom to the top. Level 3, level 5, level 7 all have kind of special outdoor courtyards and roof decks for the residents of the community. And we've got community benefits that include widening the sidewalk from 10 feet to 20 feet on West San Carlos Street. Street improvements include public safety improvements and beautification improvements. Public parks, the project's paying in fees for local Midtown area parks. Affordable housing, we've got $7.2 million to be paid in affordable housing fees. The public paseo is being included as a 30-foot wide dedicated for neighborhood use. And the retail and dining along the frontage is 9,000 feet of restaurant and retail space on West San Carlos, activating the streetscape with wider sidewalks and just life. So that's it. We want to thank you. That concludes the presentation, and we're available for any questions you may have.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate the presentation. Let's go to members of the community now, and we'll begin. I'm sorry, I took your job there. Tony, go ahead.
30 seconds still?
I guess, we should be going back to the standard time, apparently. Okay.
Alex
I'm being
Shore.
told.
Hey, this is Alex Shore, Executive Director of Catalyze SV. Want to thank Jeff Curran and his team for bringing this project to Catalyze SV members not once, but twice for scoring. It scored a 3.83 out of 5. When we rescored it, it scored even higher on vibrancy. And on vibrancy, transportation, and intensity zoning, it scored a 5 out of 5. So our members really value some major components of this project. We think it's going to bring a lot of life to Midtown San Jose, and we're very grateful for Studio Current for doing that. A couple of things we would love to see in this project. We first scored it almost 2 years ago and asked the developer, and we know they have the option, but we always look our members to have the affordable housing built on site. This was something very neat that the Planning Commission, multiple planning commissioners brought that very point up. So we would request and encourage developers like Studio Current to continue to try and pursue affordable housing on site as they're doing in potentially a next stage of this project. We're also really glad that they're working to connect the paseo, a public paseo in the back of the project in Midtown San Jose. I think it's going to be a huge addition to the neighborhood, and we're very grateful they've been working so hard for multiple years to do that. So again, our members really like this project. There are, as always, areas to improve, and we want to continue to see developers build to a LEED standard or the equivalent to make projects as sustainably built as possible for our city to cut down on greenhouse gases. But this project on vibrancy is fantastic. On transportation, they're working really, really hard to divert people from driving automobiles and using other ways of getting around. So we're very, very grateful Studio Current's putting this project forward, and we hope the council will approve it tonight. Thank you so much.
Tessa Woodmansey.
Thank you. Okay, good, thank you. Well, I was wondering about the bicycle paths. You know, when we do the work of these developments, I hear from the developers, oh, we only have to deal with what's in front of our property. And I think that we're not asking enough of the developers, if that's the truth. That means that's all you're requiring of them. And we have a lot of problems already in our neighborhood off of Stockton, where Julian Street was never fixed, you know, and we have all this development coming. It should have been fixed right away. And so the same thing with San Carlos. So you'll have little blocks. It's like when the developer comes, we get a little bike path for one thing in front of their house, you know, their building. This needs to be comprehensive throughout the whole street. They need to do more to really, you know, build it and they will come. We need a separated bike lane throughout San Carlos. And that needs to be demanded of them by our city, that they support that and help whatever way to build that. And then the other things about the building they showed the rooftop. I think it should have more greenery. I think it should have a whole rooftop garden on top. It was very white and empty, and it needs more life to it. And also, when we are working with cement is a big contributor to our greenhouse gases, and so that needs to be reduced as much as we can. And then the other thing is that the way we do the commercial, and the city requires the commercial for but we're at the end of our rope and the end of commercialization, and we need housing. We need to really be, and I know even the developers have said, you make us build these retail spots, but we're not needing, I'm not going to restaurants and things like that. So we need to change, and we need to build housing, not pushing.
Chael Soto.
Yeah, that stands for Chale. Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. I would like to hear the same level of moral offense and ethical objection that I just heard on the last item. I want to hear that kind of moral offense and ethical objection to these items, because I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this dude talk, and oh my God, rooftop, it's just, there's going to be so much vibrancy. And to hear Alex Shore on this call, what is actually being articulated within the context of these descriptions of these developments is the means by which the Latinos, the immigrants, and the Chicano communities are going to be gentrified out of this area. Now, I only have a minute, but you give me some time, and I would be able to give a presentation in this city and articulate explicitly factual. You guys like data? You like facts? I got them. I will connect all of the dots, and I will show you a picture of what precisely is going to happen to these communities by which you are representatives of. You not only have a moral and ethical responsibility, you have a fiduciary responsibility to put a stop. You have the ability, you have the power. I heard Perales pontificate about the fact that he has a duty, we got laws, we make them. All right, homie, why don't you make them to protect the Chicanos? Why don't you make them in order to protect the raza? Because those buildings, you know what they represent? Tombstones. Tombstones. Chris Burton, I don't trust you. I don't trust nothing about you, homeboy. Nothing. Because you have your degree and euthenics and eugenics. That's exactly what you got.
Robert Aguirre.
Yeah, Robert Aguirre here. Kudos to you, Paul. I would like to say that just for the record, I want to go on record as letting people know that many of the residents that lived in those so-called bungalows, those apartments, that were apartments for years until they decided, the new owners decided to call them bungalows, that those people that were living in there were not given the same type of protection as other properties that get sold, or if somebody decides they're going to go out of business. Those people that were living in there, and including the Salvadorian restaurant that was there, did not get the same kind of benefits from having their previous owner sell out their property and all of them with it, and they got none of the benefits from it. And I'm sure that this is going to cost a good amount of money to put up the structure that they're planning on putting up there, and they're going to make a ton of money off of all the people that are going to be renting at these higher rental costs than what the people that were living there were paying before. And I'm absolutely sure that none of the people that were living there before are going to be able to afford to live in this same complex once it's completed. Even if they're made affordable, I don't think that they're going to be at the same rate that those people were paying. And I think it's a real shame that we're doing this to people and trying to categorize these as bungalows, and because the roofs weren't touching and contacting each other, that they didn't count, and that what is the spirit of the law? What is the reason why we have these types of protections if we're not going to protect the people that are living in there? You're coming up with excuses. There's certainly lots of things that you can come up and say, oh, well, this is because of this and this because of that. But I think it's a real shame that we did not provide that kind of benefit to those people that were certainly deserving of that.
Blair Beekman.
Hi, thank you. Blair Beekman here. I used to travel a lot around the West San Carlos area. It was kind of a funky area, you know, in the past. I don't quite know what you're going to develop it for the future. It's really building up right now. I hope you can be considering the ideas of mixed income. You know, that those are ideas that will be coming down the pipe by 2025. Why not start that process now? I think that might be really appropriate for the San Carlos area, and I'm sure we're wondering if it can be. Good luck how to do that and respect what was the past of this area. You know, the whole area around West San Carlos, you know, that it could go under the sort of development that this building offers, and it's taking out a lot of previous homes. It's a lot of work to do that, but you know, if that's our future, you know, that's what Paul is seeing. I hope we have those good practices from the Airport Commission that I think can give us our good examples. I think the high-rise examples for the downtown area are really ridiculous. And it's the Airport Commission ideas that are giving us our foundation, how we can be considering our future of this area that Paul is not too happy about. And I think it's from there, that's where the dialogue can really take place, what we're going to do about the future of this area. And this will be a Google area. Good luck how you do that. Mixed income just has to be a part of this solution. I think it's just really helpful to everybody. It keeps things from being overly exclusive and invites community and equality, actually. So good luck how we can invite all incomes to the future of local community. Thank you.
Brian Flynn.
Good evening, Mayor Liccardo and honorable council members. My name is Brian Flynn. I'm an attorney with the law firm Lozau Drury, commenting tonight on behalf of the Laborers International Union of North America, Local Union 270, or LIUNA. LIUNA is requesting the council refrain from approving this project and not certify the EIR at this time. LIUNA submitted a comment on the draft EIR highlighting the project's potential impacts to indoor and outdoor air quality, as well as greenhouse gases. The city's responses to these comments failed to alleviate LIUNA's concerns, specifically in regard to the project's impacts on indoor air quality. LIUNA had retained an indoor air quality expert who focused on the increased cancer risk from off-gassing of formaldehyde from composite wood products, such as plywood, particle board, and fiberboard that are commonly used in developments like this. And he calculated the increased cancer risk to future residents and employees would exceed significant thresholds of 10 and 1 million. LIUNA had hoped that the city would disclose this indoor air quality impact and mitigate it with economically feasible measures, such as requiring the use of no formaldehyde or ultra low formaldehyde products. Instead, the city's response in the final EIR seemed to brush this impact aside. The city claimed that the project would comply with formaldehyde regulations set by the State Air Resources Board, even though the formaldehyde risk calculations already assumed that the project would comply with those standards and still found the impact to be significant. The formaldehyde standards set by the Air Resources Board are just a floor, not a ceiling of what can be required under CEQA in order to avoid the significant impact to human health. So LIUNA is respectfully requesting the council not certify the EIR or make any further approvals for this project until its indoor air quality impacts are fully disclosed and mitigated in a revised EIR. Thank you very much.
Mike Sodergren.
Good evening, council members and Mr. Mayor. I just want to say you guys have had a long day, so I'll try to make this as quick as possible. You have to have the wisdom of Solomon and the patience of the City Council of San Jose to take input that is caustic, and I appreciate it. My input will not be caustic in this matter, but it will just serve to point out that there is a significant amount of development on West San Carlos Street that is affecting our historic fabric, not to mention much of that fabric is affordable housing and affordable retail space. And I know that this is part of a bigger plan relative to mixed-use development, but it is concerning. There are attributes to salute. The comments about preserving the signs and integrating them into the projects is good, particularly if there is a grand neon boulevard that's created to connect Santana Row with downtown, to make that connection for people and to make it an eventful place to transit. Our biggest concern is that these projects are out ahead of the city's concerted effort to truly get a historic resources inventory in place before these buildings are gone. The next topic on your agenda is similar to this one in that context. Affordable housing and affordable retail is important. Is our understanding that most developers realize that they're going to have to underwrite commercial businesses in these more expensive properties if they're really going to have retail at street level. Thank you.
Caller 5140.
So many more buildings needing help in this area. The downtown looks like Detroit. My neighborhood's got burned out buildings, burned out family home that could easily be a great home for somebody. It's been derelict and burnt out for 2 years. Hillsdale, across from Calvary Church has millions of dollars in fines due to non-mask compliance, but across the street is a burned out, derelict building that looks like, like there was a war. Been like that for 2 years. Could definitely be turned into mixed-use retail or maybe rezoned for housing. I don't know. That might not be a bad idea. But, that's District 9, where I live. A lot of burned-out buildings. And the downtown looking terrible. But you guys want to build villages and redo these funky locations. What about the buildings that are burned out? I want everybody to ask Pam about that, about her burned out buildings. I don't see burned out buildings in other districts but hers. So, she gave me the Mike, I'm done with you routine the other day in her stupid town hall because I brought this up, and I'm going to continue to bring it up with her. Maybe I can meet her at the park event this Thursday and ask her face to face what she thinks about it. Because her staff is too good to get back to me. Her staff is too good to pick up the phone. Just like San Jose PD and all you other city council people, you're too good to pick up the phone, especially your district, Deb Davis. You people never pick up the phone. You got a bunch of queens working there, which includes you.
Sam?
Yeah, hi. I live in I'm a firefighter here for the city of San Jose, and I live in Santa Cruz. And I just wanted to caution, if you're going to be going from 2 lanes to 1 lane in any of the areas, they did that on Portola Drive in Santa Cruz. So two lanes each direction. They changed it to 1 lane each direction with the turn lane. It made a huge traffic jam, and what they ended up doing is tearing it down within 1 month. They changed it back to a 2-lane road. I noticed you said something about 20-foot sidewalks. And apologies for going back to the last topic, but as a firefighter here in the city of San Jose, I think I have some important information for everyone regarding just vaccines in general.
Sir, we're not speaking on that topic at this time. We had that opportunity earlier. Next speaker.
Cindy Martin.
Hi, I enjoyed your presentation, and I do think there definitely needs to be more affordable housing. So making sure that, while we are redoing some of these buildings for people, and definitely seems like making them more dense makes sense for a city like San Jose. But I think also seconding the person who said making sure that, there's a LEED certification and considering sustainable building practices. I think that's really important for quality of life as well, especially for people living in the building. And I also wonder about the idea of maybe having a living roof of some sort. I think our country definitely needs more of those. And as the tech, capital in the United States, I think that could be something really innovative for us to do to show to other people. So, I definitely think a building like this can improve the lives of people and improve San Jose's. And I disagree with people who say this is, that progress is just gentrification, because I don't think it is. But I do think for sure there needs to be made an effort to make these spaces available for the people who live here. Thank you.
The final speaker is Brian.
Thank you very much. I'm glad I got back into this. I'm very proud of you for having to put with all you've had to listen to today. I thought I was pretty rough, but people have a right to express their opinions. I struggled with this because I thought it was going to be a potential, let's break up single family home neighborhoods. I'm still apprehensive of that happening to those fine people. And I think that it's going to eventually happen. But people need a place to live. And I can tell you, thinking you have a place to live and then poof, it's not being there and then scrambling to try to find one, I can really relate. And if I learned one thing from it, and because of the council, I can't go into it. It's the difference between me not having enough to retire and having enough to retire to get a house somewhere else. And for that, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Liccardo, I'm grateful, and I can't pay you guys back enough. You too, Mr. Jones. So, though I may not be here, I would like to retire here, but we'll see how that works. People need a place to stay, and they need a place to stay without fear. And it seems that's what churches are. I hope I'm talking the right topic, but I'm any affordable housing. Thank you very much.
Back to council.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks to all the members of the community who came out to speak. And thank you, Jeff, to you and your team for your investment in San Jose. Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. The developer's name is Vijay Mani, and I have to say she did all the right things in planning this project. She came to our office very early in the process, met with us many times. She asked for help connecting to the community. She did that, and she listened to the needs of the neighbors, even purchasing additional lots so that she could help connect that paseo to the street for neighbors walking. There are 8 units on the site and 3 businesses. There were 3 businesses. Right now, there will be 173 units on this site, so from 8 to 173. 2 out of the 3 businesses have already relocated, and the 3rd business was a small car rental company, and that owner retired. So this will increase not only the number of units, but the number of commercial property availability on that site. With that, I will move staff recommendation.
Thank you, Councilmember. The second was the Vice Mayor. Other comments? I just had a question. First, Jeff, really appreciate the project. I think it's a great site. Great to see mixed use there. Love the millions of dollars of affordable housing fees and park fees, so thank you for paying those. And certainly it looks like a good design. I want to just ask about the 1st and 2nd floor elevations. And maybe it's a question for Chris just to start with, which is, it looked as though it looks like phase 2 has a much more shallow retail on the 1st floor than the phase 1 does. I don't know if we can pull that screen up, Jeff, if you don't mind sharing your screen again and going back to that 1st floor elevation.
Yeah, let me do that.
And I guess I'll just ask the question as you're putting it up is, I know we've learned the lesson the hard way in Japantown and other places historically where we've put in mixed use with shallow retail and then watch it really be vacant for a long time because the market wasn't there, and we know retail hasn't gotten easier. but having really shallow retail like that had raised some concerns for me. And then as I looked at the second floor elevation where we now have also commercial, the thought occurred to me was, why we know second floor is, again, a harder sell even than first floor. I know the intent would be to do office, but why wouldn't we just say, hey, go ahead and build out more units on the second floor and give us, and so that way, you'll get a higher ROI on that second floor elevation, and then the first floor, give us deeper retail that's more likely to be active and full rather than something that might be sitting vacant.
Yep.
Yes, I'm having trouble moving the slides right now. I don't
Okay.
know. It's not cooperating with me.
Yeah, let me just ask, Chris, you have in mind what I'm referring to? Is it?
Yeah, I understand the question, Mayor, and I think it's a good one and an important one that we continue to balance, especially as we look at new development in urban villages, where we're trying to sort of maximize the opportunity for future commercial, with the realities of the market and also the sort of realities of smaller sites and trying to fit in all the components that we need on a sort of ground floor versus second floor configuration. I'd let Jeff sort of respond to the specifics on this one particularly as far as the depth of that retail. We do tend to try and coordinate with OED a little bit more on that now as far as what appropriate depth of retail should be, and certainly the studies that they've done around retail viability over the last couple of years are helping inform that work. But as I said, it's kind of one of those issues where we're trying to balance a combination of uses that exist on the first floor. And I don't know if, Jeff, you wanted to speak to the specifics of that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, the slideshow's not moving for me at all. I can't move it back to that slide, but you're absolutely right, Mayor. The phase one that's on the east side over here has about a 50-foot deep ground floor retail space. Phase two is more like 30-foot deep. So it's not so shallow that it's irrelevant. I think the owners are committed to putting in some restaurant, cafe, coffee house type uses as well as office up above. And so I think that 30-foot could be reasonable. The reason it's 30-foot is that we had to fit the additional parking that we needed on that level. And that was the spot where it happened. So the retail on the corner ended up being about 20 feet less deep than the retail next door to it.
Jeff, did you have to accommodate that parking because we told you to put the parking there or because your lenders told you?
That's a good question too. I think the city would have allowed us about 20 fewer parking stalls. So not a lot. We weren't overparked by a great deal, but I know the lenders are looking for higher numbers, and the owner felt that to finance this project, they were committed to getting at least one parking stall per unit, and that was sort of our target.
Okay. Well, I know that this isn't we're not going to redesign this thing on the dais. I support the project, and it's a great project, but I'd certainly support reconsideration that would enable you to build more units in this project on the second floor and just take all that office space and put it on the first floor and get yourself a more viable retail space. But I'll leave it there, and smarter minds will figure this out.
Understood. Good comment.
Councilmember Cohen?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. I saw the project has fees for affordable housing. What was the consideration about on-site affordable housing versus the paying of fees for affordable housing?
Yeah,
Is VG on the live feed? I would probably rather have the ownership team talk about that. We're working on a new phase next door that has affordable housing on site. And I think for some reason, this particular phase for financing purposes was going to work better for them to pay the in lieu fee.
If I could, Councilmember Mayor, I hope it's okay if I answer that question. Yes. I believe these are going to be for sale condos, owner occupied. And so she was originally looking to have the project have affordable on site. It ended up, you know how financing works differently for affordable. She ended up doing two separate projects.
So the fee, so the separate project
So
would,
she'll pay the fee on this one
right,
and
okay.
hopefully be able to use the fee on the next
Use the fee
project.
on the other project, which will be next door. Is that the idea? Okay. Okay.
It's nearby.
Or
It's
close
within
by.
the same urban village. I don't know that it's adjacent. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yes, it is adjacent.
Okay. Thank you. And then just sort of back to the parking question. I mean, I know the city's been talking about kind of going to lower parking models, so it's kind of interesting to me that this project went with above the city requirement. I mean, is this? It's going to be hard then for us as a city to go to those lower parking models if it's hard to finance this project at this level. So I don't know if that's a question or just a comment, but just sort of something food for thought as we have these conversations going forward on the parking models that we're considering as a city.
Well, and I could probably speak to that. The parking is handled on a couple of different levels. We're actually significantly under the base required parking, but because we're on the bus rapid transit line, we get an automatic 20% parking reduction for that. And we're entitled to, in a sense, purchase up to 30% in additional parking reductions by some of the transit demand measures, things like providing transit passes for our residents, putting in share car spaces, doing a ride share and carpooling kind of program that's run by the homeowners group. And so there are a lot of different systems where we can buy that parking down. We've bought that parking down 42% below our required parking. So we're only parking 8% above minimum.
Okay, thank you. And I know Councilmember Davis and I share this interest in terms of trees and tree cover. So we obviously our office took a quick look as removing 15 trees, putting in 26. So I appreciate that we are, making sure that we're doing the replacement and putting in some mature trees. It's important that we don't lose any tree coverage as part of projects like this, since we want to continue to expand our city canopy. And so I'm just going to comment on that. I heard one of the commenters talk about use of roof space. It's something for me I want to use this opportunity to mention that for future thinking about planning in the city. I mean, I think, being in the sunniest city in the United States, we ought to be thinking about how we use our flat roofs on a lot of these new developments, whether it's for solar, for other environmental uses. I mean, I think we're wasting opportunities a lot in this city. We're not putting solar on roofs. We're not putting gardens on roofs. We're not putting other uses on roofs, which I think can be very beneficial to our built-out environment. So something for future developments to consider. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Davis, did you have your hand up again?
Sorry, that was still up from before.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, let's vote then. Councilmember Carrasco, I'm sorry, I didn't check.
Her hand is not up.
No, her hand's not up. Okay, great.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Perales,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Carrasco, Davis,
Yes.
Esparza. Yes. Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Mahan,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Liccardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. All right, we're on to item 10.3, which is, and thanks, Jeff, for your project.
Absolutely.
Item 10.3 is site development permit and vesting tentative map for Marriott Down Place Suites on the northeast corner of West San Carlos and Josefa. And there is a presentation here. Welcome, Chris.
Yeah, again, Mayor, I'll be very brief. We have staff available for questions and the applicant as well. As you mentioned, the project includes both a vesting tentative map and a site development permit at 495 West San Carlos. The project includes the demolition of 4 residential units, a water tank building, 3 commercial buildings, the removal of 7 trees, and 2 sheds for the construction of a 175-room hotel on a 0.6-acre site. The general plan is downtown. Obviously, it's within the DSAP boundary. Again, the zoning is downtown primary commercial. There was a supplemental EIR that was prepared for the project. It included, it would result in a significant and unavoidable impact for the demolition of the 2 historic structures on the project site. The supplemental EIR was circulated for the public on April 5th. The city received 4 written comment letters during that period. The project went to Planning Commission on August 11th, and Planning Commission recommended approval. So staff's recommending adoption of a resolution certifying the supplemental EIR, adoption of a resolution approving the vesting tentative map, and adoption of a resolution approving the site development permit. And we're available for questions.
Thank you, Chris, for your succinct presentation. We'll check first with the applicant. And
Yes.
is that Mr. Ring?
Yeah, Jeff, can you share the slideshow, or do you need to be presenting?
No, I can share it, and let's see here. Hopefully it'll respond better than my last
There
one.
it is.
Here we go, Paul.
Great, thank you. Good evening, Mayor Liccardo and honorable council members. Thank you for your dedication to serving the community today, this evening, and this year. I'm Paul Ring. I'm a partner at Urban Catalyst. On behalf of all the partners, I want to thank you for your consideration to approve the Keystone Hotel in alignment with the Planning Commission's recommendations. I also want to thank planning staff for the care and review they've given this project. And because Urban Catalyst is proud to present Keystone, this hotel project in the midst of these times is a long-term vision for the dedication that we have in the community, furthering the implementation of the DSAP plan. In particular, it's focusing on serving the existing and future office tenant needs near the downtown, Diridon Station, and SAP. We look forward to the long-term benefits that go to the city with over $1 million annual transient occupancy tax that specifically helps fund our local arts groups. And we worked with the vision of the community and the Department of Public Works to widen the sidewalk in this area as we're developing the plan, and we're making a $55,000 voluntary contribution as part of 3 projects in the area, each project making that amount to do a signalized crosswalk in the area. So I know my development manager, the Urban Catalyst lead development manager on this project, Tom Holt's available for questions further, but I'll turn the screen over to Jeff Current, who happens to also be the architect for this project as well. Thank you, Jeff.
All right, Paul. Thank you. And again, thank you to the council and the mayor for your time this evening. I know it's been a long one. We've been blessed to work with Urban Catalyst on several of their downtown infill sites. This is a pretty key site on the northeast corner of West San Carlos Street and Josefa Street. It's about 26,000 square feet, or 0.6 acres. We're about a quarter mile from the Diridon Station. Our context is a combination of commercial and some newer residential and some industrial type uses. The West San Carlos Street corridor between Santana Row Valley Fair and downtown is probably the most active and vibrant and fastest growing urban village in the city right now. Our site, as was mentioned, contains 6 existing buildings, all being proposed for removal to make way for the Marriott Hotel. The ground floor of our project, facing West San Carlos Street, has the main lobby entrance and reception desk. There's a large section of, guest amenity space. And on the right-hand side, we've got office and kind of back of house space. The parking is on the north end of the project, and access to the parking garages off of Josefa Street. The second floor and third floor of the project are lined again along West San Carlos Street with a fitness room and some of the back of house, the employee lounge, the laundry, and parking pushed behind that. It's a podium building as well. It's a 3-story concrete structure with 5 levels of wood. Once you get to level 4 through 8 are pretty much hotel rooms that wrap around a central courtyard space. The top floor of the building, level 8, has some amenity space up on top of it, an outdoor patio, a covered lounge with fireplace and TV, and a couple of meeting rooms. The building materials are meant to fit in with the neighborhood. The neighborhood historically is near the train station. It was a combination of industrial, commercial, and residential uses. And the architectural concept incorporates brick on the lower level, corrugated metal siding as a corner element, and both wood and plaster on the body of the building. These materials reflect the history of the site and the rich diversity of the neighborhood. The hotel is designed with a classic base, middle, and top. When the hotel's completed, it's going to bring much life, vitality, and economic activity to the neighborhood. And that concludes our presentation. And again, we're here to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's go to the public now. Tony?
Tessa Woodmansee.
Okay. Thank you, Tessa Woodmansee. Thank you. Thank you. Well, okay, he's saying vitality and life to our city. You know, when what's happening in Tahoe, you all have heard about Tahoe because you're all rich. We know that. You go up there, and the thing is, they can't breathe in Tahoe. The AQI is 500. And so, you know, when we say life and vitality, we have to think about what we are doing in our stable San Jose, that, you know, and we can make the changes, the absolute
Blair Beekman.
All right, hopefully Tessa can come back. I think she got cut off. Maybe she can come back later on. Blair Beekman, thank you for this item. You know, like the previous item, this is taking a lot of space and a lot of old, nice buildings. Boy, I don't know if I'm really in favor of this project, and I don't know if I'm in favor of a hotel being used, another Marriott hotel here. You know, I agreed, you know, to a certain level to what the future planning of this area would be. Definitely in comparison to those major monster high rises, overly ambitious high rise ideas that you initially had, that I guess this is part of the efforts to condense that. And boy, I'm really ready to better address that in the terms of what how Paul Soto wants to talk about these things. And so that's what happens, I guess, in our process. You know, we start with this large capitalist model, and then hopefully we can grow into some really organic ideas. I hope that's an evolutionary process we can all take together, and whatever step.
Caller 5140.
Just so we need another tacky Marriott hotel. Nobody comes to this town. Fairmont went out of business, and they were doing bad long before COVID. COVID just put the final nail in the coffin for them. But yeah, you don't see that place opening up anytime soon. They say they are, and they say they have been, you know, building up to do so, but they're not going to be able to open up. Who's going to come here? Who's going to come here with all your mandates, and you got to show papers everywhere? I mean, I find it interesting that there's not going to be any papers being shown for the Guns N' Roses concert, but I digress. We don't need any more hotels. We don't need any more building. We're building too much. There's not enough water. There's not enough electricity. There's no natural gas anymore because you guys think that natural gas is bad and it shouldn't be used. And you're going to build a massive hotel. Who's going to use it? I mean, who's going to be using all this retail? Retail's dead. The office buildings are dead. Housing, I understand. But hotels, retail, offices, this isn't 1985 anymore, people. I'm sorry. You guys are not with the times. I mean, the 80s called and they want their development back. And that's what used to be big in Marriott Hotel. It's the worst hotels I've ever stayed in, Marriott hotels. Expensive, cheesy, horrible, bad service, bad food. Do something else. Do something cool. Don't do something that's so 80s. San Jose's stuck in the 80s. I swear to God, this is the worst city in the entire nation. And who wants to come here? I mean, we're a destination, not.
Paul Soto?
Paul Soto, I know the caller doesn't mean it, but when your life has been impacted by racism, by redlining, by your mother being beaten in the schools, by the discriminatory practices that have happened in the city that the city refuses me, and the only thing that I have left is the ability to identify myself with that neighborhood. And then it's being taken stripped. Sir, that neighborhood had vibrancy, it had life, because it was the lifeblood of the Del Monte Cannery. How dare you come to the city and talk like that? Don't you ever come to the city and speak in that tone. My family picked the fruit. They served that motel, and what offends me the most is that motel is going to be filled with Mexicans. Cleaning the toilets, making the beds, cooking the food. All in the service of white people that don't care. Tread lightly, mister. That is the only thing I got. It's my value. And you're tearing it apart. And this council's letting it. You're doing absolutely nothing to protect the people. Nothing. You are letting it happen. When your life has been impacted by racism, by colonialism, I'm a California Mission Indian. You know, I ain't had no peace, man. I've been locked up for fucking 38 years of my life. And then the only thing that I have in this life, in this world, is my body to identify with, and you're just stripping it apart.
Brian Flynn?
Good evening, Mayor and honorable council members. This is Brian Flynn again from Lozow Jury on behalf of Laborers International Union of North America, Local Union 270. LUNA is requesting the council refrain from certifying the supplemental EIR for this hotel project. Similar to the last project you just considered, LUNA has concerns with CEQA compliance regarding the hotel's impacts on indoor and outdoor air quality, as well as greenhouse gases. And these concerns were not alleviated by the city's responses in the final EIR. LUNA's indoor air quality expert found that future employees of this hotel would experience an increased cancer risk of 17.7 in 1 million, in excess of the CEQA significance threshold of 10 in 1 million. In response to this concern, the city's claimed the project will comply with regulations of the State Air Resources Board. However, again, that 17.7 in 1 million figure already assumes that CARB compliant materials will be used, which is exactly why economically feasible mitigation measures such as no formaldehyde added products are necessary. And notably, this impact was not addressed previously either in the Downtown Strategy 2040 EIR. The city's also responded that the impact doesn't need to be analyzed because it's an impact of the environment on the project and not the project's impact on the environment. But the formaldehyde emissions I'm discussing are a direct result of the development of the hotel, and the increased cancer risk to future employees is undoubtedly an impact of the project. And as such, the city has a duty to investigate and disclose this impact before proceeding with the project. Therefore, LUNA is requesting that the council not certify the supplemental EIR or make any further approvals of the project until the project's impacts are disclosed and mitigated in a revised EIR. Thank you very much, and thank you for your time tonight.
Tessa Woodmansey?
I love you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it because all
Sorry, she already spoke on this item. Mike Sodergren?
Honorable Mayor and Council, just adding to the previous comments about the impact on West San Carlos, which is ongoing with the urban development plan. A couple of questions. It's my understanding that as part of the mitigation measures, there will be a 3D scan of the historic property. I hope that is correct information, and I hope that that's done. And I applaud the council and the planning department for promoting that concept. But again, we're faced with the loss of historic fabric and representation of the culture of the area, as some of the other speakers have referenced. A specific request that I would have going forward is, as one of the program goals is usually stated for hotel projects, is to meet the contribute to meeting the Envision 2040 plans of the specific, room count. It would be good to get with project proposals a running tally of where we're at on that. Are we at the 50% level of what we expect to be by the time we get to 2030 or 2040? And how much does this particular project contribute to that? I believe it might reference a percentage in total, but not a running contribution to the tally. Just would like to note that the historic buildings that are on site there will be requested to be relocated or salvaged. It doesn't appear that there's any real opportunities for that, and so it would be great if the city would provide options of properties and awareness of vacant properties to make it easier for developers to carry that out. Thank you.
Sorry, back to council.
Thank you. Thanks to members of the community who chose to speak on this. We appreciate your input. Returning to council, Councilmember Pross.
Thank you. First off, just for staff, based on the comments from Leona, do we have any concerns with the sequence analysis that we've done?
Thank you, Councilmember. I'm going to have Robert speak to that directly. He's available on the Zoom.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Robert Manford, Deputy Director for Planning. I would like to reiterate that the CEQA analysis for the project has been prepared in full compliance with CEQA and its implementing guidelines. The commenting party periodically raises this concern, and we provide them with information. What they are requesting that we do is outside the scope of CEQA and might be better if Sacramento actually dealt with it. But I also have our principal planner, David Keon, here, who can provide additional information as to how staff responded to that particular comment. And David is online.
I'm comfortable with that response. Thank you. I do appreciate that. And thank you for sticking around to join us as well tonight. I want to make a couple comments. We know we have a lot of development happening in the area here as we've just approved the Dearden Station Area Plan and all the development that we have around Dearden Station there. We know that we're going to have a huge need for hotel rooms in that area, and it's not built out with that. It's not really built out with much at all right now. And so this is going to be a great addition. Additionally, I'd like to say thank you to the developer here for taking the advice of activating rooftop space. That's something that I think we have not done enough with our developments, and I really appreciate how they've used that in this space. And I want to say thank you to them specifically for their work with the tenants that were there in the area. Some of the tenants, like Susan K's Custom Apparel, was able to relocate and find some space. There was the vacant Keystone property there that they allowed local color to rent-free, to use rent-free, after they had to be removed from the old Ross building here downtown. And the one that hits a little close to home is Hubcap City, a place that I used to go for all the hubcap needs as I was driving around my 65 Impala, and people would steal hubcaps because that was the thing to do, and especially out for older cars like that. And Hubcap City always was a go-to spot. But I know the owner there actually happened to also be a coach for my niece in softball back in the day, and he's ready to go. He's worked well with the developers here, and doesn't. It's a bummer. I think he does think he's going to maybe hang up the hat on the business, and maybe be a challenge for others looking for hubcaps within the city. But I want to say thank you again to everybody involved in this, and as well Preservation Action Council and their continued advocacy. In this case, I do believe that that we have a great project moving forward, and I will move approval.
All right, motion second. Hubcap City will be a big loss. I know that's a sort of an iconic frontage there along West San Carlos, so sad to see it go, but obviously great opportunities ahead. All right, any other comments or questions? All right, let's vote on. Yes.
Perales?
Yes.
Cohen?
Aye.
Roscoe? Davis?
Yes.
Esparza? Yes. Arenas?
Yes.
Foley?
Aye.
Mahan?
Aye.
Jones? Liccardo?
Aye, and Vice Mayor Jones just appeared.
Aye.
Yes.
That was audible, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we're on to our final item. Item 10.5, application for city landmark designation, historical property, i.e. Mills Act, contract for property located at 285 South 12th Street, also known as the Doobie Brothers House. And there is a presentation which might include some singing. Chris, got that in you?
I can assure you, Mayor, it will not.
Okay, so we're going to have a presentation, and then we're going to open the public hearing, or do we open the public hearing first? Okay, we're going to open the public hearing now. That's what we're doing. Chris, welcome.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Chris Burton, Director of Planning, Building Code Enforcement. And before I dive into this a little bit, I just want to recognize Robert Manford, who is on the call as well, but also Dana Peak, who's our newly appointed Historic Preservation Officer. So we appointed Dana just at the end of July to an important position. She's been with the city for about 2 years now. So she's really been driving this process and is a critical aspect in our historic preservation work. So as you noted, the project before you is an application for the designation of 285 South 12th Street, otherwise known as the Doobie Brothers House, as a city landmark, and then an application for a historical property contract on the same property. So here is just the location on 12th Street, and actually we have an image of the house itself, a craftsman house built in the early 1900s. This is the designation criteria. I'm not going to run through all of this, but as noted in the staff report, the property does meet the requirements for designation. Just to note some of the significance related to this property, it has association with Alfred Hastings and Wesley Warren Hastings, who built and designed the house, association with Louis Normandin, and then obviously the association with the Doobie Brothers, and in particular Tom Johnson, who lived at the house between 1969 and 1973. As noted, there's also a Mills Act contract associated with this project, which includes provisions for the ongoing maintenance and improvement and investment in the property. As noted in the staff report, the project meets those criteria as well. And those are just noting the findings associated with it, and in particular, the 10-year work plan to invest in the project. So lastly, staff is recommending adoption of a resolution designating the property as a city landmark, and also adoption of a resolution approving the historical property contract. And staff's available for questions.
Thank you, Chris. So the public hearing is open. So rather than taking it to the streets, we're going to take it to Zoom. Tony? I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. It's too easy.
Tessa Woodmansee?
It's a tough audience.
Yes, I am very supportive of housing. because that is one of our crises, is housing. We have a housing crisis. And what is really telling in the way our meeting is being held by Mayor Liccardo and his decisions to cut me off shows, because all I really talk about is climate crisis. And, you know, the housing crisis is part of it because of the decisions we've made. And that was what I was dealing with, is that we're going for hotels and we're going for high-rise office buildings when we really need to be addressing our climate crisis.
Tessa,
And
we're on the city landmark designation, 10.5.
unmute. So I don't know what I'm saying, that I support that we are preserving housing. That's very critical, because that is where, and the thing is that everything we do has to be looked at through the lens of our climate crisis. And that is why we need to have it in our charter, because our politicians cannot be cutting it off and saying we can't talk about it.
Paul Soto?
Yeah, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Your mocking laughter, Walt Prowlis and San Ricardo, duly noted. Duly noted. I've been around sociopaths a long time. The places where I've been around sociopaths. I know exactly how they operate, and they did just exactly what you just did to me right now. That's cool. I'll accept that. I'll get over that. But there's no cure for what you two have. Absolutely none. With respect to the Doobie Brothers, I don't have any opinion on that one way or another. I don't care about that. What I do care about is that these are men that inserted in their name in the 1970s when people were being sent to prison for having weed. And these white boys were so bold that they put the name of the very thing that people were getting sent to prison. But it wasn't white boys, though. I'll give them that they did that, but it wasn't whites that were going to prison. It was Mexicans and blacks. That's what it was. So while you want to make your jokes and your mocks about that, that's actually beneath both Perales and Liccardo. Because as a citizen of this city, with the connection that I have to that barrio and that cannery, you just spit on every single Chicano and every single Mexicano that built that neighborhood and maintained it so that it was a viable place for them to live, despite the fact that it was redlined. And you guys won't have that conversation. Is this house in a redlined area? Was that assessed? Was that even something that was centered within the requirements? Why isn't the racial equity office inserted in any of these conversations? Because they are being deliberately left out, because they know for a fact, once you center redlining policies and you openly acknowledge that, it sets in motion all kinds of reparations, a lot of reparations. And I may not see them in my lifetime, but there is a little boy in this city that will be a beneficiary of my work.
Blair Beekman?
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Thank you a lot for this item. It's always nice to walk in the neighborhood around that area. And same with the area around Washington, Washington and say 5th Street. I really like those areas. So thank you. Hopefully that can offer some creative energy for people to consider. To comment quickly on the previous item, Tessa only got 40 seconds to speak, and I only got 1:20. They combined both of ours into one. To quickly conclude my final thoughts, you know what? As we all learn good practices, you know, from going from capitalist ideas to more communal ideas, we each have our own pace and our own understanding of this evolutionary process, and it's always interesting. And I just wanted to respect how we each learn important lessons of commune life and community life. It's important lessons we learn individually that we then bring back and share, and just wanted to mention that this time. Thank you.
Robert Aguirre?
Yeah, Robert Aguirre here. I do appreciate the recognition of the Doobie Brothers. They were a very important part of my youth. And Mayor Liccardo, puns are my job, not yours. So that's it. That's all. So thank you for doing that.
Mike Sodergren?
Honorable Mayor, Sam, I got it. Thank you. It was fun.
I'm glad there's one person who thought so. Thank you.
Listen to the music, Sam. I just have to say that the HLC meeting that was held on this was probably the most rockin' HLC meeting I've ever been to. We had Mark Purdy there. We had stories that just down the street from the Doobie Brothers, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks were, bunking nearby. Chris Jackson with KFAX showed up. Dan Arloff of San Jose Rocks, and a bunch of people I didn't know, but they really, really were tied into the rock scene. From a historic preservation standpoint, we couldn't be more happy with this decision. Dana, congratulations. You get this feather in your hat. This is a great, great addition to San Jose's historic fabric. The couple that lives there, I don't know if council has met them yet. I think they might be Aussies, but they are just outstanding. I'm sure they're not going to make money on the Mills Act. They have a 10-year plan of taking care of that place and keeping it there for many generations to come. And they're going to put a plaque. They're going to use some technology and put a plaque out front so people can come and get the story of the place. Thank you, City Council. I hope that you will approve this unanimously. And I hope somebody in the 10 districts will actually sing one of their songs tonight. Thank you.
Caller 5140.
Yeah, I guess it's nice. I mean, I saw the Doobies in concert. They were good. I don't know how it's historical because they used to live there and smoke marijuana there. I'd have to have more context on why it's so historical. A lot of those Victorians are dumps, really. I mean, they look good, but on the inside, they're a disaster. I've lived in a couple of Victorians, but whatever. The modern day people, are they going to really identify with the Doobie Brothers? I mean, the new generation is like into anime and electronic music. I don't know what generation of people are going to like walk down that street and go, oh my God, this is amazing. This is some sort of vacation destination. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could do it. Great. I just hope there's no tax money that I have to pay for a plaque of where the Doobie Brothers used to roll their doobies and smoke their doobies.
Back to council.
Are those all of our members of the public?
Yes.
They are. Okay, thanks, Tony. Thanks to all the members of the community who came to speak. All right, Councilmember Perales.
I'll be brief. Not too far over that way, a couple 100 feet, is where the Grateful Dead first played their first concert entitled The Warlocks, out here for a San Jose State party house, similar to probably what the Doobie Brothers house was there. Yes. But it doesn't exist anymore, and it's still a good story, but I think where we have an opportunity to preserve a bit of that history, and actually directly in relation to Mr. Sansini's comments, when we can preserve it because it's actually not part of today's culture, that's preserving history. And so I appreciate the work that's gone into this, and I'll move approval.
Thank you. Councilmember Esparza?
I'll let Councilmember Davis go first.
Oh. Actually, Councilmember Foley was lined up to sing, but yeah. All right. Is that all you have, Councilmember Esparza? Okay.
Were you going to speak? No. Oh, okay. Okay. We lined up the music, but not the not the thoughts, not the coordination. We're a little goofy today. So I just have some quick comments. I'm going to support the motion. However, we've had a number of conversations on this dais about how we preserve history in our city and whose history we're preserving when we designate landmarks or historic districts. Oftentimes, that history is the history of the privileged. It's the history of who's benefited from our city's past redlining and other discriminatory practices. I'm not bringing this up because I have issues with the Doobie Brothers or their contributions to music, but as far as I know, we don't have any city historic landmarks associated with Los Tigres del Norte, for example. So I just want to use this opportunity to remind us of this discrepancy, that we must continue to improve upon this and find ways to preserve those untold and forgotten histories of communities in our city that have been overlooked. So, in the immortal words of the Doobie Brothers themselves, take this message to my brother. You will find him everywhere. Wherever people live together, tied in poverty's despair. You telling me the things you're going to do for me, I ain't blind and I don't like what I think I see. Thank you.
Nice work. All right. Other comments? Let me also encourage members of the community to bring forward those Mills Act historic landmark designations for those many hidden gems in our city that haven't been brought forward. I think this is important. All right, I think we can close the public hearing now. Is that right?
Yes.
I'm not sure why we call it a public hearing, except that's what the law tells us, because we have public hearings on every item. But anyway, that's what we're closing. Let's vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Perales,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Carrasco,
Aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Mahan,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we now have time for public comment, open forum, rather. We'll hear.
Tessa
Go.
Woodmansee.
Thank you, Tony.
As we can see, we even have a office of, equity. We have the Office of Equity, and Maya Esparza connected was off topic, going into the redlining, because, and I'm not criticizing her at all. I totally understand where she's coming from and agree with everything she's saying. However, she didn't lose her time on the dais, because she talked about equity, because actually you've given, you've made sure we look through the things, the crystal, the vision of equity, that we have to look at everything in terms of equity. Well, bless your heart, that's a good thing. However, another crisis we have, the real crisis we have is our climate crisis. And that is why we needed through to go through the Charter Review Commission. So it's in our charter. So it's not at the whims of our politicians who can cut me off because they don't want to hear it. And we know you don't want to hear it. That's why we are in the destructive place we are of mankind and all of life on earth. And you don't care that they're breathing 500 AQI in Tahoe. And that is where our decision making has to go. Our equity has to be to reduce our fossil fuels to the 1.5, which is, around the corner, 1.5 degrees C, which means that we don't fly, we don't drive, we don't move, no movement of goods. That is our challenge. And, and of course you cut me off because that's not the way you want to hear. And so that's why, as a B in the charter, because you cut me off. She wasn't cut off for her equity because we've agreed that equity was important. But we have to start agreeing that the climate crisis is important. And it is important. Oh, you can't cut me off because it's not on your agenda. It's what needs to happen. And that's why Paul Soto said he was happy to see what happened, that everything was that we had to shut down the City Hall. Because we do need to shut down the agenda and start looking at everything through the climate crisis. And
Robert Aguirre.
Yeah, Robert Aguirre again. So I have a couple of things. One, I'd like to talk about something that I've talked about before, and I believe that the unhoused people in this city don't really have a real voice. I've asked that we set up a commission or something so that we have that opportunity. So I'm going to keep bringing that forward, both here and at the county level, because I think it's very essential that they are given a voice. And that brings me to the second thing I want to talk about is the closure of the area that's either known as Spring Street or Columbus Park, that area. I was certainly there during the closing of the jungle, and I think the jungle was bigger. There were probably more people there. But the big difference between the jungle and this Spring Street area is that we didn't have RVs in the jungle. I think there was maybe 2 of them, but they weren't going anywhere. But it wasn't like the situation that we have over on Spring Street, where we have quite a few of those RVs and mobile vehicles that are out there. People living in their cars, people living in their trucks and vans and so forth. It's a much bigger problem. And yes, we're planning on closing it. I understand that. I understand what's going on with the FAA. But at the same time, we don't really have a plan on how we're going to deal with all these RVs. And I know signs have been being put up everywhere saying no parking or 2-hour limit parking or all these different things specifically to keep the RVs out of the area. But let me tell you, you're going to end up with the same kind of problem that you had before when you closed the jungle without really being prepared for it, is that these RVs are now going to go into neighborhoods all throughout the city. And it's going to create a bigger problem. And until we deal with this situation, it's going to continue to come back and bite us all in the butt. And I think we really need.
Paul Soto?
Yeah, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Before going to my comment, I would like to acknowledge Councilman Jimenez's input as of late. I can't tell you how grateful I am for it, and that I am a direct beneficiary of some of the questions and the way that you frame them. It helps fortify the positions that I have, so I just want to extend that gratitude to you. This is from the Plan de Veleno. This is a document that Cesar Chavez has written that codified the principles by which would govern the movement. This is the beginning of a social movement. In fact, not in pronouncements. We seek our basic God-given rights as human beings because we have suffered and are not afraid to suffer in order to survive. We are ready to give up everything, even our lives, in our fight for social justice. We shall do it without violence because that is our destiny. To the ranchers and to all those who oppose us, we say, in the words of Benito Juarez, el respeto derecho ajeno es la paz. Secondly, we seek the support of all political groups and protection of the government, which is also our government. In our struggle, for too many years, we have been treated like the lowest of the low. Our wages and working conditions have been determined from above because irresponsible legislatures who could have helped us have supported the ranchers' argument that the plight of the farm worker was a special case. They saw the obvious effects of an unjust system, starvation wages, contractors, day halls, forced migrations, sickness, illiteracy, camps, subhuman living conditions, and acted as if they were irredeemable causes. That is in your face, Perales. You want to mock me, old boy? That's what I come from. And you want to mock and you want to make jokes, and you too, Ricardo, you know what? Your comments and you're toying with the feelings and emotions and historical injustices that a man is being vulnerable and bringing it to you is beneath the office in which you occupy.
Alyssa Villa?
Hi there. Yeah, I just wanted to speak on the issue from earlier. It's really unbelievable.
This is a time to speak on things that are not on the agenda. Blair Beekman?
Hi, thank you. Blair Beekman. Thanks for the meeting today. At the City Charter Commission last night, it was brought out the ideas of, they are working on the ideas of equity, reimagine, and actually open democratic public policies for our future. Interesting stuff. It reminded me that I didn't bring up, and I should have, that for all the talk I've been doing lately this whole month about we need to consider open democratic practices at this time that can really help us out of the funk that the VTA situation put us in. It was kind of a war room-like situation for us, I think, at city government and VTA the past few months. I've really been trying to say it's open democratic practices. It's this positiveness that can really help us at this time. And, there is interesting sunshine laws developed by the city of San Jose in 2005 to 2007 that technically may have, been the inspiration for the surveillance and technology stuff, ordinance stuff that, came out by 2014. we should be looking into that more and talking about it more and just making it that could be a way to talk about the ordinance issues and be real helpful. It's really interesting stuff. With my remaining time, 38 seconds, we have a great conversation going about, last week, smart cities and data collection. And, this week with transportation, city council issues. I think that's going to really help bring things together, what we need to do this fall, which is open democratic practices. One thing that was left out of the smart cities agenda item last week, I think there's going to be a fall of working on AI issues, new AI issues and programming and practices. I think that's a little frightening. And I again need to emphasize the importance and humanity of open democratic practices at this time can help these sort of things.
Caller 5140.
Gotta say, I really enjoy watching people push back on this city council. I consider myself a disruptor. A lot of peaceful, I don't mind a peaceful protest every now and again. We were lectured all through the Antifa and BLM riots that burned down cities about peaceful protesting. And today, man, you guys, we saw how weak you were today. Well, you guys couldn't handle anything. You couldn't handle anything. You guys were so weak today watching. I love the disruptors and the peaceful protests today. And hey, once in a while, people got to get in people's faces and argue with them. That's what Obama told me to do. The disruptors, what Nancy Pelosi tells you, these are all people you guys like. Obama, Nancy, pushing back on people. That's Maxine Waters. Argue with them. Argue with them. That's what Obama said to do. I'm glad people argued with you people today. You deserve everything you got today. Let me tell you, the news media. What? Hello?
Roland?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your service at this late hour. I'm really glad to see that many of you are wearing what are probably appropriate face masks in these times. Especially I'm seeing N95 with side ventilators, which I think are definitely the state of the art. But the thing I wanted to talk to you about is the Brown Act. There were many accusations by members of the public earlier on of such violations, and you all know that they were baseless. But however, there is something that did catch my attention. It was multiple attempts by the city clerk for members of the public to identify themselves. So in closing, I'd like to bring to your attention and the city attorney's attention is Government Code Section 54953.3, which states as follows. A member of the public shall not be required as a condition to attendance at a meeting of a legislative body of a local agency to register his or her name, to provide other information, to complete a questionnaire, or otherwise to fulfill any condition precedent to his or her attendance. So if the city attorney could look into this and brief the city clerk accordingly, I'd much appreciate it. Thank you and good night.
Final speaker, Mike Sodergren.
Yeah, I just have a quick final comment. As I was waking up from a medical procedure not too long ago, I was not sure who I was or where I was, but the first thing I heard on TV was the Wade warehouse in the historic Alviso district had burned down. And of course, PAC's interest is in, and my interest is in, historic preservation of historic properties. But the first thing that popped into my mind is I prayed that nobody died. I prayed that we didn't have a ghost ship issue in San Jose. We don't need stuff like this. So I would ask City Council, we'll have an opportunity to speak with the planning director later this week, to relook at our code enforcement relative to abandoned or under occupied buildings, to make sure, of course, that we preserve our historic fabric, but most of all, that we protect our people. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Back to council.
Thank you, everyone. Meeting's adjourned, and congratulations to our new city manager. We hope she'll be back next week.